Priorities meeting to order. I am checking on live stream. Thank you. And again, calling us to order for Tuesday, December 7th, Governance and Priorities Committee. Welcome to all of those who are joining us on live stream. We have an agenda before us. Councillor Vandenberg.
I'd like to add to item number 11, some items for the agenda.
And item number 11 is, I just have to scroll down. Go ahead.
Want me to read them out loud?
Yes, please.
Minister Wilson, workshop, collaborative economic development. Don't worry, Lynn, I've got something to give to you. Leduc Regional Housing, verbal reports for November.
Thank you. And I just comment on that, if I may, Councillor Vandenberg. In June, you had brought forth 3 notices of motions. One of the notices motions dealt with the sharing of external committee reports at the meetings, and that was defeated. How do you see this being different?
I was simply wanting to add for governance and priorities these items. I sent out a notice a week ago.
Just again, and I'm going to turn to Mr. Coleman. We had a motion that dealt with this. It was defeated by council. What is the process? And I am not sure what the process is, Councillor Vandenberg, and so I am checking with Mr. Coleman. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, members of council. So, I mean, yes, there's the motion that was defeated, the notice of motion that was defeated by council, but there is always an opportunity through our agenda process to add items to an agenda. The intent really of governance and priorities is to allow opportunities for council to put discussion items forward. Ultimately, though, it is the decision of the majority of council to adopt an agenda. So you have to manage your agenda time, and if time warrants, those are decisions you make as a chair and council. So there's always a prerogative for members to bring items forward, and you must decide whether you want to entertain them on the agenda or not.
Thank you very much. So with that, and thank you for that clarification, we have a proposal to add some items to the agenda. Those were read out by Councillor Vandenberg. I'm going to now ask council in favor of adding the items at the end of the agenda to number 11. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Agenda adoption. I guess so. He was bringing forth those. Yep. Councillor Scobie and Mayor DeBlanco. On to adoption of the previous minutes, November 2nd. Councillor Lewis, move those as being accurate. Thank you. All in favor? That is unanimous. On to presentations. We're starting with the Canadian Energy Museum. And are you doing some introductions, Mr. Honesty?
Not today. They'll provide the intro. Thank you.
Okay, so welcome. We have 15 minutes for your presentation this morning. So settle yourselves in, introduce yourselves, and we are ready to listen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors, for having us today. My name is Kayla Goodwin. I'm the Executive Director of the Canadian Energy Museum, and with me is our Board President, Sean Ryan. The museum's mission at the Canadian Energy Museum is to cultivate curiosity, engagement, and a balanced understanding of the energy sector through our education and public programs, exhibits, and events. We're endeavoring to excite inquiring minds through the countless storytelling opportunities provided by Alberta's unique energy history, its people, places, sciences, challenges, and innovations. The Canadian Energy Museum is formerly the home of Leduc No. 1. We had a rebrand in 2019, and we are continuing along that path with the rebranding. For 2022, we're continuing to focus on our exhibitions for energy and environmental sustainability. We have a women in industry exhibit that's set to open in the spring of 2022. We also are upgrading our safety and energy exhibition, and we are focusing on First Nations stories. 2021 at the museum saw our team expanding. It was a different face here last year for the executive director team. We have 30+ years of combined museum experience currently on staff. We also are expanding our board. During COVID, we developed new virtual programming for both schools and for public programs. The Leduc #1 made its way back to us. If anyone has driven by, you can see it now just on the side of the highway there. We ran 3 summer camps. As I mentioned, we're doing exhibition updates and we have new exhibitions coming through. We have an amazing new geology wing. If you haven't been recently, come check out what the girls have been working on. And we are focusing on expanding our grants and updating our strategic plan. We were able to open on July 1st this year based on government restrictions. So in 2020, we saw 360 visitors. To date, we've seen almost 600. So 2021, even though we were open for fewer months, we were able to almost double our visitorship. And our campground surpassed all previous years in terms of revenue. We've created a new strategic plan for 2022 to 2024, which focuses on securing our financial operations, increasing visitorship, and actively engaging with the community. We have a new marketing strategy. We're updating and expanding our exhibitions. We are organizing our documentation as we transition between leadership and our rebrand. And we're also focusing on our existing membership and our board succession. Our purpose in 2022 to 2024 is to grow our relationships with the community, become a solid travel destination in the area, and cement funding for the future. You'll notice when it comes to our expenses or our anticipated expenses for 2022 that we continue to have energy services and staffing as our most costly expenditures. In terms of revenue, we anticipate increased admission, gift shop, and campground sales this year. However, when it comes to COVID, everything's a little unpredictable. Our goal is also to support the museum expenses by about 40% with grants in 2022. Our casino is set for 2022, but it's currently uncertain in light of COVID. A couple other things to note when it comes to our revenues and expenses. We have been participating in the restrictions exemption program, which has allowed us to resume tours and field trips. Field trips are slow coming back, but we anticipate good numbers for spring of 2022 when it comes to field trips. So as I mentioned, we're restarting our school programs. We actually have our first field trip next week. For the 2021-2022 school year. We're also working on a corporate sponsorship program, and we have our 75th anniversary on June 18th, 2022. We're looking for donors and donations for that event. We have program and project-specific donations and grants on the go. And as part of our strategic plan, we're working on a provincial grant strategy for regular funding. It's grant season right now, so I'm 2 out of about 8 grants in. The granting is really important to the Canadian Energy Museum right now. I'm also anticipating with increased marketing to have increased visitorship and increased community outreach. We're requesting from Leduc County the same as we have in previous years, which is $25,000. The city of Leduc currently is providing us $25,000 on a 3-year term until 2023, and we have requested $12,500 from the town of Devon for 2022 as well. This operational assistance allows us to continue to work towards revenue sustainability and operations sustainability. In particular, this assists us with our payroll and utilities, which are our 2 biggest costs. It also allows us for the consistency of our staff. And it allows us to then have our staff focus on programming and museum development. We want to be a community presence. We want to be building our relationships with other nonprofits in the area. We want to be a field trip destination and a tour destination for people all year long. Essentially, the Canadian Energy Museum should be seen as a destination within the area for people. So thank you for your consideration. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I'll open the floor for any questions. Councillor Vandenberg.
Good morning. I guess one of the questions I would have in terms of changing and adapting to the current times, I know that there's been work and thought in doing that. You didn't spend a lot of time talking, nor is it in the presentation, some of those interesting ideas. So I'll just come and ask you, is renewable energies going to be form a part of the museum?
Yes, it absolutely is. So we are currently working on a renewables exhibition or exhibit space. We have a lot of space at the museum, and that's going to eventually form a core part of where the museum is heading in the next 5-ish years.
Thank you. So you're working on it currently, but won't have a deliverable for 5 years?
So it's essentially, when it comes to museums, you're collecting artifacts, one artifact at a time as you go. So as an example, we have a lead on a bladeless wind turbine, which we will get in the spring of 2022. And then as you get artifacts, you're expanding and growing your exhibit to reflect those pieces.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. Your casino, I assume that's Camrose because you're rural, or is it one of the Edmonton casinos that you're?
The last one we participated in was in St. Albert, actually.
Okay, that's good news. And I would say plan on it. We just finished a casino for our community hall, so they are going forward.
Thank you.
Yes, so I'll be hopeful for you. The second question is just about the construction that's happening around there. I was actually quite surprised they didn't get it done this summer. You couldn't have got a better road building. But any ideas on how that might be impacting or will impact in the spring your drop-in traffic?
So good question. I was shocked myself that the development wasn't complete. I am involved with Alberta Transportation on the museum side as well as another side. We haven't seen really a drop in people in attending. One thing we did lose with the development of the highways is, of course, the advertising and signage and stuff like that we're currently working with them to see how we can coordinate that as they develop and continue in the spring.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Lewis and then Councillor Vandenberg.
Thank you. Can you tell me about your virtual programming that you're doing, and is it a fee for service?
So it's actually free for service. It's on our CanadianEnergyMuseum.ca website. And our programmer and public education coordinator developed 4 different field trips that are free and downloadable. They actually had 797 downloads in 2021.
Wow. That's good charge. Thank you. Councillor Vandenberg.
But talking about your strategy, you're very diverse in your strategy side of things, which is good. Lots of eggs in many baskets. You talked about provincial grant funding strategy. How is that in line with the provincial museum status? Are they connected? Is the provincial museum status something that is good, something that is not so good? Can you talk a little bit to that?
Yeah, so our provincial museum status actually was up for renewal in 2022 and has been submitted. It's currently under review. A lot of that goes through the Alberta Museums Association. If you are an accredited museum, essentially what happens is it does open up a couple more granting opportunities. You're placed on a list of accredited museums that are being held in public trust. So it is very fortunate for us to kind of have that stamp of approval that we are following all guidelines when it comes to provincial granting, we're able to then say we are an accredited museum and we follow all Alberta Museums Association policies and procedures. Did that answer that question for you?
Yes, thank you.
I have a question, and it might be actually for Mr. Honesty. Generally, we are able to see audited financial statements for organizations. Have we done this in the past with Canadian Energy? I'm sorry, I cannot remember. If not, I would be interested to see the audited financial statements.
And
Mr.
I
Honesty?
do receive those directly
Okay.
through administration, and Kayla and I meet regularly. So I do receive those, but I have not provided those directly to council. Potentially work through the committee.
Okay.
Committee, and then we can.
Absolutely. We have a process to be reviewing those. That's great. Thank you. All right, I see no more questions. Thank you very much for your presentation. I really appreciate your enthusiasm and your multi-pronged approach to looking at funding at a very difficult time. Wish you well and know that we will support you in whichever way we can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your time.
Someone want to move that report for information? Councillor Blaser, all in favor? It's unanimous. So welcome, Chamber.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just get loaded up here.
I'm not sure if we're doing that because everybody's gonna have a mask. We can check it. We can check at the end. Yes, we can check at the check. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, thanks for having us. It's nice that we know everybody, but just as a reintroduction and for those online, my name is Jennifer Gary's Executive Director of the Leduc County and Wetaskiwin Regional Chamber of Commerce. So it feels like we were just here, but 1 year later, here we are. So thank you for having us today. So this is our 2022 request. We wanted to kick off by showing you what we're asking for, and then we'll lead through just so you know how much we would be asking for those different projects. So Discover Leduc Region, our Visitor Information Center, business engagement. So that's a multitude of different things: education, the Job Connector, market space, events, egg initiatives, local foods, member engagement, again, events and tours. Spring mayoral address, and we have an exciting spot to talk about for the mayoral address, different than we've done in the past. Our business expo, our business awards, our June chamber golf tournament, our October small business week luncheon, and different events that we do throughout small business week. November luncheon, December spirit of giving luncheon, Leduc County halls, which are the halls in the county that for their membership at a reduced rate. And then, of course, the county membership and our new initiative, our Startup Leduc and Wetaskiwin region. So I will get into those initiatives.
And Jennifer, we can just ask questions as they come up.
I think that's better because there's so many different things on the
Okay.
go. So yeah, just interrupt me. If
Thank you.
Just cut me off. And yeah, so Discover Leduc Region. So this was a new initiative that we launched during COVID. We started talks on this initiative in late 2019. COVID hit and we went forward on the initiative, and you know what, it's been so successful. We now have 5 different municipalities on board with the initiative. We recently got a Travel Alberta tourism grant, and so we did a video on different county assets. So 795 Hascap, Alternative Root Coffee, Farm Fresh Florals, the Old Red Barn, and Raycan Distillery were all part of the video production that we did. So stats. So we had 8,700 views. So this is Q3 stats. We did send out an annual report of 2020. Our 2021 annual report will be coming out in January. So we'll be sure to provide that to you, which has updated stats on the initiative. So, but just in Q3 of this year, just current right now, we had 87 views of the landing page, 9,700 views of the blogs, featuring you individually on some of your assets. Social media posts, we had 775 and broke a record reach of 2,800 different social media viewings. The video that we did reached over 629 views on our social media page, is continuing to receive views, and we're continuing to send that out. And we've had just under 60,000 visit our webpage since launching. So we've had a lot of traffic go to the website. The assets have been very excited and be happy to be part of the initiative. You don't have to be a chamber member to be part of the initiative. So it is open to every unique feature and every unique asset. So we aren't discriminating. If you aren't a chamber member, you can be part of this initiative. We did also launch a local food data map as part of our website, but we're also pleased to announce we've received another new grant through the Canada Shop Local to do a website for Discover Leduc. So we have secured dollars to do a brand new website. The website that we launched was more kind of not a static website, but not to the capabilities that it could be. So now with this new website that we'll be working with to start in January of 2022, it will even have more interactive features. We can package tours. So we could package tours in the region. So, you know, our play and stay, we did a play and stay actually with the Best Western and the Leduc Golf Course, and some of our other assets, but now you can actually buy the play and stays through the new website that we'll be launching. So I'll be coming back to show that off once we have that in place. So this is just some of the different blogs and the just different like, you know, blogs and stories. So we did, you know, the fall festival, date night in the Leduc region, take our alternative route to craft coffee. So just these are different blogs that we've done throughout the year. There's many different ones. Christmas spots to visit. We did sled trails last year. So it just is timely upon the season on what we're doing on the blog post. So other questions on Discover Leduc before I move on?
Sounds great. Sounds like it really picked up in maybe a good year to start. Councillor Lewis does have a question.
Sure. Just a comment, being part of social media world, I've seen that people share photos with you and you showcase them on, and it's from all around the region, it's pretty neat because people can be interactive, right? They feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah, and actually we encourage that, you know, if you're out at Wizard Lake, if you see a unique sunset, if the geese are flying, they're flying north, that's weird, but send that to us and we'll post it. But we wanna involve the community, we want to involve the region. So yeah, that's a great one. We definitely do take that into consideration, and we do. I mean, we can't show every photo that comes through, but we really show the awesome ones that are coming through from the region. So yeah. Okay. All right, so let's discover Leduc. This is just another shop this season. So just some of our unique makers and marketers for that. So Visitor Information Center, we're asking for the same amount that hasn't changed, I think, in over 8 years or longer. So it's just continuing to have that stopover. We are getting to electronic charging stations for vehicles that are coming to the center. Darkest Coffee is a local startup that has a drive-through station there. So we are getting a lot more attraction to the area. We get a lot of visitors stopping through, you know, their dogs are running, and, you know, we just have that park setting there. So we are continuing to see visitors come through. And actually, it's not just the center. We take phone calls, we get visitor comments through our website and all that. So we would like to kind of launch the center into more of that Discover Leduc Tourism Destination Center, as you see when you go into other communities like Canmore and that kind of thing. So we're looking to put that into kind of a renovation into the center of that. Local jobs. So this is another. So we received the Labor Market Partnership Grant, the LMP grant, through the government of Alberta back in 2020, which was supposed to be 2 in-person job fairs. Well, we turned that in. I've mentioned this before. We're so excited about it, but it's turned into this awesome initiative job page. And so it's resources for job seekers as well as employers. And we've now thrown also events associated with that. And so this has been great. And we've had 37,000 views to our local job page, including on average, we have 60 to 120 local jobs that we're always posting, which you can find jobs on Indeed and Kijiji, but it's just nice to be that hyper local, knowing that these are employers here hiring and that they're seeking local labor as well. So this has been such a great initiative for us.
And just comment on that, Jen, I've shared this with a number of people I know who were looking for employment, and they had good luck on it. So, you know, not only are you looking at it directly, I look at it for people that I know, and it is easy to navigate and a great new service from the chamber. So thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely. And so we've now received another grant. So we'll be featuring a Leduc County employer and doing a video on that employer. So at no cost to the county, but that's another grant that we've secured to do a local video on a local employer to tie back to the Job Connector. And actually, we're also applying for the Labor Market Partnership Grant this year. And our aim on this one is Welcoming Workplace Series. So it'll be a 4-series workshop on Indigenous awareness training, newcomers, EDI, so equity, diversity, and inclusion, and intergenerational workplaces. And all those 4 are all to bring labor into the region because there is a shortage. I mean, hospitality and other industries at this time are seeing a shortage. So this is just another way of looking for local labor in other sorts of settings. So that will be also, we're applying for that at this time. So we'll keep you posted on that. And again, always reach out to us if there's anything that we're missing on the Job Connector, because I mean, we've thrown events on, resume writing, what should you, as an employer, what should you be looking for in a resume, that kind of things. But anything connected to the Job Connector, send our way. Yeah.
Councillor Vandenberg?
Hi, Jen. The training aspect that you just spoke of, is that would that tend to be an on-site or would that be a virtual?
We're actually hoping for the new year, and we're going to see what type of technology we can secure because we do so many events, and we are getting back to in person, but we'd like to see that hybrid model where it's an in-person somewhere, but then we can hybrid it back for those that can't be in attendance and that kind of thing.
So do you have a venue in order to host
these 4
training?
events? So we haven't got that one yet, but we will be looking for different spots within the greater region.
Museum
between
has a
Leduc and
training
Tasman.
center that you
Yes,
want to look at.
yeah. And that will be coming up in my slide coming up here. So yes, you bet. So we would definitely want to work with you on those types of workshops and training spaces. So any other questions on the Job Connector?
Continue on.
I just wanted to actually just also note that on any of the COVID supports throughout this last year, on the wage subsidy, the rent assistance, all of that also were time back. But anything, there's, the new Canada Job Grant, there's some different grants out there for hiring at this time. So we are sharing that also on this page as well for any of those ones that are coming out. Our small business series. So our small business series, we did 10 last year. Our last one, actually our 10th one is on December 9th, which will be on LinkedIn, pretty much LinkedIn 101. So anything, so it's all about how do you promote yourself and your business on LinkedIn and what are the tips and tricks you can use. So that small business series will be on December 9th. We will be continuing to do our small business series virtually because they're recorded and then there's such good quick 1 hour events that we can share. We've done succession planning throughout the year. We actually hosted a Minister Schweitzer last January. So for the small business series, anything that we can tie to, this one is cybersecurity. So anything on that small business series, we're throwing events for. So we do 10 throughout the year. We'll probably again continue to do those virtually unless we see that there is a great opportunity for in-person on those. This has been, surprisingly, this has been a great year for ribbon cuttings and grant openings. And so these are all ones within Leduc County. The only one that we didn't assist on hosting, of course, was Tanny there. And I think we have one of Kelly with the dog at the opening of the new Sarepta Fire Hall. So, but it's been actually a great celebration year. And these are just some of them. We did more than this throughout the year. So there is some great excitement and good openings and celebrations throughout this last year. This is, so business for sale, space for lease. So we're doing a market space. So land for lease, land for rent, land for sale, and that I've mentioned before, but we want to share these opportunities, businesses for sale. If you know of a business for sale locally and you want to send that to us, we'll promote that as well on this market space. We also send this out to our entire database. We have over 5,500 contacts that we send this out to. So we also do the opportunities page, which we work with Alberta Purchasing Connection. So any municipal bids that are going out, we want to ensure that our business community is knowing about what they can apply for and what they can bid on. So we are sharing that with the ones that our municipalities or surrounding municipalities are doing. We're sharing those as well for the business community, just so they can't say they didn't see it. I mean, that's just an opportunity of awareness where some may not know where those spaces are. Chamber Market is a digital online store that we've launched with the Alberta Chamber. So this is for any business that wants to advertise, they want to sell anything online. It's a free service that we offer to get them on with that. And so it's just another free for the business community. You don't have to be a chamber member to be part of this chamber market that's promoted provincially. egg initiative. So we weren't able to do our Growing From Here conference, but we want to bring it back this November. So we're excited to bring this back again. And then all the other initiatives we're doing. Talking about the mayoral state address, we've secured the date for June 8th. And we'll be, at this point, we'll be doing it at Tangled Roots, which is a new venue space out in Leduc County with a local food market at the same time. So we're really excited to do this in one of the local venues out in Leduc County. So that will be also part of the initiative, the Egg Initiative. And then, of course, I mean, events and tours with our Growing From Here conference. We do tours of local facilities, and we have some, I mean, Hofstra Dairy, their new barn will be up and running. So we'd love to take some tours out there. So this is Egg Initiative. It's all, there's so many things that we do throughout the year. We'd also love to get Minister Horner out, the new egg minister for the province. So different initiatives that we'll be working on throughout the year on agribusiness. Are there any questions on that? That's just another, we also do our egg newsletter. So that's a quarterly newsletter, and we have a lot of good feedback on that and other businesses that want to be involved in that. So mayoral address, as I just mentioned. So there's a photo of Tangled Roots. So that's where we'll be headed out on June 8th to do that mayoral address. It's just east on 625 here. So we have really close. So if you'd like, we could set up a tour prior to and just go out and see. It's such a great property. And yeah, so there's so many. So anyway, we have that secured for June 8th, including a county market at the same time. Business Awards Gala we couldn't do before, but we're excited to bring that back on March 5th. So that will be something, bring out your Wizard of Oz look if you want, but you don't need to. So that's on March 5th at the Nisku Inn. Our Chamber Business Expo. So this is our Business Expo and Job Fair. So that will be in April. The golf tournament as well. That will be in June.
That's the A team there.
Was that the A team? Yes.
That's the A team,
yeah. If you're here, say present. No, you're all here. Yeah. Our October luncheon for Small Business Week. So we normally get a Small Business Week panel, and we're excited to be back in person for that event in October. Fingers crossed, likely we will be. And so that will be our October Small Business Week luncheon. Our November luncheon that will fall. Normally we tie that into the Growing From Here conference and get a bigger headliner speaker. In the past, we've had Ryan Jesperson be our headliner for that. So we'll work with you on a speaker for that event as well. It's also Entrepreneurship Month or week, depending on where you're searching. So that also falls into November. Spirit of Giving luncheon. So we're super happy to have some of you in attendance on Friday for that event. We have over 200 people confirmed for that event. So we're really excited that we will have that on this Friday at the Renaissance at EIA. County Hall memberships, of course, that's something we've talked about through the year. So that's a sponsorship of the local halls. Welcome to the Chamber, so Leduc County membership. So Startup Leduc and Wetaskiwin Regions. This is a brand new initiative. So this we just launched this past summer. And so this is for businesses from 0 to 5 years. 0, just having an idea, maybe a patent or something, all the way up to 5 years, and they're ready for new growth. We've hired a director for the Smart Start under the Lighthouse Co-work, although she's mobile. So she'll be working in Leduc as well as Wetaskiwin areas. We're working with Community Futures, and we've secured the Smart Start curriculum. So it's a Smart Start curriculum training for entrepreneurs in an 8-month window series, as well as mastermind groups and events. Outside of the Smart Start, any startup can go and get support through the Smart Start, be matched, with a lawyer and accountant, have some coaching advice and that. So this is a brand new initiative. And so this is something new, and I know you'll have questions on it, but we would like this Smart Start and Amber's expertise and that too. I mean, I'm not sure if the Nisku Rec Center could be a spot for that, but just in this next year, we just see that there could be a good, transition between Nisku, Leduc, and Wetaskiwin for this Smart Start startup, Leduc and Wetaskiwin region. So at this point, we have the City of Leduc will be sponsoring into 2022, as well as the City of Wetaskiwin. JEDI has committed, so they're the Joint Economic Development Initiative, which covers the County of Wetaskiwin as well as Millet. And then we have some private funders through MNP and some of our local banks and that kind of thing. So
what would be the KPIs coming out of this? So our investment, how will we know that we are supporting local entrepreneurs? I mean, it's important to everybody, but How do we keep that accountability for Leduc County?
Yeah,
tax
so we'll have
dollars?
reporting. So we can actually tell you which businesses we're working on
Okay.
through that. And as well as, working on the business registry, we're now able to see who
Right.
those new startups are and who we can reach out to. And, this was almost, Discover Leduc. It was a risk to launch Discover Leduc, especially during a pandemic, and do a tourism initiative, but it's turned into such a good initiative, and there's so much we can tie into. And of course, as Discover Leduc, and we did move forward on securing grants to continue to grow that initiative. We will be doing the same for Startup Leduc and Wetaskiwin regions. It's actually surprising how many businesses came through during the pandemic. They have a new idea, they want to do something, they have a new startup, they want to buy a franchise. Like there's new businesses are always happening, and we just need support in the region to help those new businesses secure and grow and stay in place and connect them with those supports. Many don't know where to go for the next supports. And so this is just getting advice, and connecting them with what they need to succeed.
Councillor Vandenberg?
Jen, on this particular point, is there, and I know this is a startup, but certainly in terms of success, there's got to be some thought around the evolution of such.
Yeah.
And perhaps would that include an accelerator component?
Definitely. Oh, absolutely. And I mean, this wasn't something we're not, I know we're new as a startup too and starting this startup, but it's been done already. The Smart Start curriculum has been done in 8 other communities, and it's been proven. And so, but yeah, definitely an accelerator for sure. I mean, and we love the fact that it's mobile. It's not just out of the Leduc Lighthouse co-work, but there is also that space to go to if they need to. But it's also in Wetaskiwin. We also want it to be in Nisku and very transitional and movable. So, but definitely.
Okay.
We could see doing sessions actually in Nisku for the startup.
Councillor Lewis?
Thank you. And is this a fee for service? So a small home-based business, someone would come in to whatever location and kind of say, here's what I'm looking for, and they would
It's actually free. And that's why that's with the sponsorships, we want to keep it free for the business community. The only cost involved will be those businesses that want to excel through the Smart Start program, which is I think it's $295 only, but that's for an 8-month curriculum learning. But that everything else is free. The mastermind groups are free. The only cost to a business could be, if we actually have an in-person luncheon and there's a cost for the food, that kind of thing. Other than that, we want to keep it completely free, barrier free. Again, you don't have to be a member to participate in any of the services. So.
Councillor Vandenberg?
Further to that, is there because you talked about a prescribed program that's already laid out. Is there a mentorship component to that?
Yes.
Because that would then provide opportunity for our successful businesses and business people who have that desire to participate in this program as well.
Yeah, there is a mentorship program for sure. And we're actually seeking mentors at this time. We do have some already in place from the business community that have offered, but you bet. But also on, the accounting services, the legal services, that type of advice, but mentorship for sure. And we actually have a few in Nisku that have stepped forward saying they would like to help and mentor businesses through. They've been in business for 35 or 40 years and they would love to see, working with new businesses. So definitely. And again, the mastermind groups, those are free. And then all of the one-offs, we do the small business series, but then these will be kind of hyper startup series on writing a business plan, doing your budgeting. All of that will be included in this.
Great.
Okay, that's the end of your presentation.
That's everything?
Yeah, so that's,
Wow.
thank you. I just wanted to, just as another shout out, the Chamber does health and dental benefits. So if you know of any businesses looking for health and dental benefits, send them our way. And rapid testing kits, those are free to the businesses. It's to mitigate risks within the office. It's not to use for patrons coming in, but it's for these kits. They're shoebox size kits and businesses can use them, municipalities can use them just to rapid test your employees just to mitigate risks. So if someone is positive at this point, you no longer have to isolate from that person, but that person then would just, of course, if they're positive, go for their other testing. This wouldn't get you into a rep program or anything like that, but it would help mitigate risks within. But we have over 100 companies right now using these rapid testing kits. And again, they're free, it's easy to use, and you don't have to be a member to get the kits from us.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vandenberg.
I do have 3 areas that I have some questions on.
Sure.
If I may.
Yeah.
You talked about the play and stay. And I kind of get just by the verbiage what that means. But I just wanted to point out to you along with that an opportunity perhaps through our convention at RMA or Rural Municipality Association 2 weeks ago now. Mr. Wilson was up on and talked about a tourism piece, bringing in an Indigenous theme. And I know unfortunately we don't have any reservations or Indigenous groups within Leduc County, but I see that Devon's a member, and Devon has quite a close, interesting relationship with Enoch. And so there's a lot of opportunity, support from the government on that type of theme. And this kind of rolls over to my question around a charging station. How does a charging station come to be on your site at the chamber? And while people are there waiting to charge for half an hour, 60 minutes, what can they be doing? And maybe an Indigenous storytelling opportunity there could be a part of, if you catch what I'm pitching.
Yes, yeah, we've talked about doing interactive, monthly themed events through our tourism center. So that could be one of that. We have talked to Minister Wilson, and the city of Wetaskiwin is coming on board for a Discover Wetaskiwin initiative. So we have also spoken with Minister Wilson, and then Massachusett out in that side of the neck of the woods too, the other neighbor on the other side there. So this has definitely been a topic of conversation for sure.
And how did you end up with a charging station? How do you?
The charging
do you just
station is
order
that's the city of Leduc initiative.
Okay.
So they're putting a few throughout the city of Leduc, and 2 happen to be coming our way at the visitor center. So we're very fortunate to have those there to come through.
And my last question, if I may, sponsorship of local halls. Can you elaborate on that? What does that mean? What does that
Yeah,
look
so
like?
we have a member, so for the 15 halls in the Leduc County region, this would be giving them actual membership to the chamber and a landing page. And so normally it's $263 plus GST to be a chamber member, but we're doing all 15 for only $1,000. And we actually have stats. I can't pull that. I can send that to you if you want, but we actually, so when people are searching for a hall, for a venue space, for a wedding, that kind of thing, our landing page will pop up for those individual halls, and then they can reach out to them specifically to book it could be a family reunion or something like that. So we're giving all of the 15 halls each have their own profile on our website.
Market gardens, crafts.
All the 15, I can send a list of all the ones, Telford Hall, Clover Lawn, Rolly View Hall, all of those types of ones in the region.
Yes.
All the way out to way out in the west
Genesee.
there, Genesee. Yes, thank you. Is even on there as well, and of course the campgrounds and everything as well. We market as well.
Okay, thank you.
Just a comment related to Councillor Vandenberg's talk about Indigenous education. When we were at, and I think it was Councillor Lewis and myself, the opening of Righan Distillery, they are looking at doing a planting of native plants, and then having, I thought it was working an education process there as well. So as they continue to build on it, that might be one of those really good stops to link that piece in.
Definitely, and also through Discover Leduc especially, and yeah, definitely. We'll look into that. As we grow Discover Leduc and, Discover Wetaskiwin, there could be some good synergies there as well. Yeah. So, and you mentioned Devon. I think Devon has a full-time position right now working with Enoch and the Indigenous relations out there. So,
further to Righan, that Wakahikan Trail passes right through there, through the Black Mud Creek. So, I mean, for them to point and touch on that.
Mr. Honesty, comment?
And just to clarify with the budget process, this matches with what council presented less. The only one identified as unfunded currently is the startup Leduc project. So if council wishes to support that project as well, we'd either need to bring back a recommendation to council or have some sort of decision formally from council.
So we will request that you do bring back a formal report to council so council can thoroughly debate.
I just have one last initiative. So we're working also with Deeds Department and the FCSS department on doing a social support services awareness luncheon. So that will be at the Niskiwin in March. So that's another event that we're working on with the county at this time.
Great. Thank you very much. So I think we need 2 motions. One is to accept for information. Councillor Vandenberg, all in favor. And the second one is that administration prepare a report for council related to the startup
Startup Leduc and Wetaskiwin.
Startup
regions,
Leduc and
we
Wetaskiwin
can say
funding.
we'll provide, and if you want to have us back to do a more thorough presentation, we will do that for sure, and we'll provide more back.
If you can
ground.
provide that just
Yes.
directly to administration, they can
Sure.
include it in the report.
Okay,
So I have a motion to create a, to bring back that information for council to make a decision. Does Ms. White have that down? Okay. Councillor Belazer made that. And can we take a look at that? Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Okay, that. Okay. Startup Leduc region.
Startup Leduc and Wetaskiwin.
Leduc and
regions, yeah.
Wetaskiwin, yeah. Thank you. Councillor Belazer's happy with that. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Great to see
Hopefully
you.
we'll see some of you on
We're
Friday.
looking forward to seeing you on
Yeah.
Friday. Okay, at 10:45, we have a presentation from Mr. DeBlanco. And I do have a bit of information about these presentations. So first off, the presentation is limited to 5 minutes. Speakers must be respectful and maintain proper decorum. Speakers must provide their name and address for the record. Submissions must be limited to matters properly within the council's jurisdictions. Submissions must not be made about matters scheduled or to be scheduled before the Development Authority, the Subdivision Authority, the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, the Assessment Review Board, or a statutory public hearing, or the courts. Submissions must not be about matters that are confidential, the subject of the ongoing negotiation, the subject of ongoing litigation, or the subject of ongoing investigations of any kind. Councillors may ask the speaker or the county manager questions of clarification, but debate is not allowed, and council may, by resolution, direct the county manager to follow up on a question or matter arising from the delegation or informal presentation. With that, Mr. DeBlanco, you can come forward and take a seat at one of the microphones there.
I didn't quite understand what all you said, but I will certainly do my best to follow my Ds and Qs.
We need you to, once you're settled, to state your name and your address, and then we will start the clock on your 5 minutes.
All right. My name is Bob DeBlanco. I live out in Glen Blauser's district, and we've lived there since 1908. So I've been around a long time. My postal address is RR2 Thorsby, DOC 2PO. And if you want to find me, I'm at 48174 Range Road 10. So if you bring me up on the map, that's where I am. Been there for a long time. And first of all, I want to thank you very much for allowing me to come and talk today. I'm speaking not only for myself, but from many ratepayers' points of view. And we have some concerns about some fees, and we don't understand why they are what they are. And we would like some clarification on this. This is not going to be a complaint session. At the end of all this, I want to be highlighted as to, why it is the way it is, because I don't understand and many other people don't understand. But from our point of view, it doesn't look good. Okay. I don't mean to be offensive. I know when you talk to a position of authority, it may sound like you are offensive. I don't mean to offend you personally, but it is something that I am interested in. And I'm interested in some clarification about what's actually going on. So I'm not complaining, although
So
it may seem like that from
Get to it
time.
because the clocks are running, Mr. DeBlanco.
Well, I have two little stories to tell you. One story is about a building permit. The other story is about acreage permit. I have a son that's building a house in the same place I do, and we applied for a building permit, and consequently, I had a neighbor in the county of Wetaskiwin, pretty much the same, apply for a building permit. And we found out that the building permits were like $900 different. And so I contacted my friend there, Mr. Blauser, and he arranged a meeting. And we had a meeting with the county manager and another gentleman, Mr. Blauser and myself. And I did a bit of research on this, right? I talked to as high as I could in the provincial government about the mandates of municipal governments. And they told me that you had a window that they could charge for certain permits. And that's good. And it was up to the discretion of the council, who is you people, to keep those limits within line. And then if that wasn't done, it was the ratepayers that were supposed to come to council and ask you why they weren't reasonable. And that's what I'm here for. Okay. So the research I did is I phoned the county of Wetaskiwin, and they don't do their own building permits. They farm it out. And so their building permits around $1,400 for the same size house. I phoned Camrose County, and they don't do their building permits. The city of Camrose does theirs, and theirs were around $1,450. But if the building was quite a ways from town, they might charge a little more for mileage. The county of Parkland's pretty much the same. Brazos was considerably higher, but I didn't investigate that. So when I did come to the meeting, I explained that to them. And what I explained was the building permit process. And if you want to know the truth, I honestly believe that most people here don't know the process, because why would you if you're not building a house, right? Right? The purpose of a building permit issued by, could be an independent group or it could be you, is to facilitate the inspectors who come to the rural farmhouse to inspect, right? And it might be a bit of an administration fee, right? But all they do is whatever the cost of the 3 or 4 inspections are, that's the building permit. Plus, there might be a bit of an administration fee. And I can understand that. That makes sense. Can't have people come to your house for nothing. But when I got to the meeting in which the manager was there, and he brought another gentleman, and the other gentleman spoke, and he told me that he had investigated that particular thing and had talked to the surrounding counties. And he thought they were pretty much the same, but they weren't. And then he went on to tell me how much better the Leduc County's building permit system is than anywhere else. I thought, well, that doesn't sound too bad to begin with, but a building permit is a building permit, and whether it costs you $500 or $500,000, they do the same thing. How much are you paying the inspectors?
Mr. DeBlanco, that has been 5 minutes, but I'm going to ask council if we can extend another 5 minutes to
Well, they
you.
told me 15.
15. Okay.
Do you want to see my email?
No, I don't need to see that. I must have a different copy of a presentation. So continue on.
Okay, I'm trying to go as fast as I can, but I'm only driving a Chev here. So. Okay, so we had this meeting. The other gentleman assured me he had talked to the other counties. And so I thought, well, maybe I made a mistake. So when we got down to the end of the meeting, their final words was, well, if there's nothing I can do, go see council. They passed it. So I'm here today. Okay, on my way home, I phoned Wetaskiwin, Camrose, Parkland again to see, was I wrong? No, I wasn't. And just to wonder about was this a building permit that was better? Well, if it's better, it should have some effect on me. So I phoned my insurance people and I said, well, I've got this building permit from Leduc County and it's $800 or $1,000 more than anywhere else. Do I get cheaper insurance? They said, no. I phoned your tax department and I said, well, if I have a better building permit, I should get cheaper taxes. And they said, no. So I'm asking, what's the purpose of the other $800 or to $1,000? What does it do? And there is nothing that I could find out that it does more than the rest. I'm kind of wondering what's going on. We're wondering as ratepayers in the county, why is it more? Okay. That's my first story. My second story has to go with the acreage thing. I have two sons, right? My wife and I really push this family thing. We think it's the most important thing in the world, right? And it's got some benefits and it's got some, problems, because now my two sons want to live next to me, and that's great. They don't always come over and shovel the snow, but they never miss Sunday night dinner. But in doing so, then I have to share some of the land that I have, because I want them there. I want to see my grandchildren and I want my family to be there as long as they can be. We've been there since 1908 and we want to be there for another 100 years. So we applied for this acreage. And once again, the fees, I don't understand, right? Everything in the acreage department is done in-house, right? You pay your $1,000 for the acreage fee or for the acreage permit, and it's done in-house. Nothing is farmed out. Wetaskiwin farms theirs out, of course, then you're going to be a fee because you're hiring company X over there to do it. Leduc County doesn't have that. They do it all in-house. So you might need some extra paper, some extra stamps, but you've paid $1,000, right? And if there is a charge, sure, you might need $100 charge, but you're going to make money on extra taxes. You're going to make money on all the extras that are coming in because there's going to be a new house. They need the acreage to go to the bank to get the money to build the house, right? And so you pay this $1,000 up front. And then don't understand, what's $1,000 for? Then we go on, and there are some things that you have to do. And some of the things I had to do was I had to get the sewer inspected that was there. Okay. Well, with the building permit, you got the sewer inspector comes out as part of the fee, even if it was $1,500 in the county of Wetaskiwin. He comes out to inspect it. With the acreage, they wanted to charge me $143. Well, I paid $1,000. What's the $143 extra for? Okay, so that happened. The guy came out, my German Shepherd was there. He phoned me, said, I'm not going out. He took pictures and I was sorry, I was gone somewhere. He said, no, it looks good. Away he went. I phoned him, tried to see why they charged me $143. He didn't want to talk to me about that. The next thing was the approach, right? So you have an approach to the acreage, and that was the existing approach. And then I believe it's the county's job to supply access to the rest of the farmland. No, Tanny? Well, then I didn't need an approach, but they made me put one in. Okay. Why do I need an approach? I don't need to use it. I can go up the ditch just as well. May not be as safe, but what the hell? We've been doing it for 50 years. How are things going to change? And with that approach, I had to gravel it, right? What do you need it graveled for? You don't go on the field if it's muddy, so that means you don't use the approach. And then if you look at where the approach is, if you go a mile west, there are 2 ungraveled approaches. If you go 2 miles or 1 mile east, Tanny, then it's in your district, and there's 2 ungraveled approaches. And if you go north on Range Road 10, there's 3 ungraveled approaches within 2 miles. What do I need a graveled approach for? Don't understand. Don't understand. The other and last thing that I found to have a fee that was totally uncalled for was a sign-off fee, right? I jumped the hoops, I did my thing, and now in order to get the acreage finalized, I had to pay $173. What for? That's my question. What for? I paid $1,000 for the application fee. Now you want another $173 for that? For a 3-second signature? I don't even know who signed it. Do you sign them, Tanny?
I'm sorry, Mr. DeBlanco, it's not a debate. So I mean, if that's a rhetorical question, I appreciate it, but we are getting to your 15 minutes. So if you have an ask at the end, that really helps council understand
well, all
what
right.
you would like.
Okay, I'm sorry. So those are my questions about this acreage. I had the fee at the beginning for in-house work. I had the sewer inspection fee, which I don't understand. I had the gravel part that I don't understand because there's no approaches gravelled around there. And then I got the sign-off fee at the end. I don't understand, because if we look at this, right? If we look at this, what are we trying to do? We got two young people in their 30s who need an acreage to go to the bank to buy a house, that want to live in the county, that are going to send their schools in the county. They both work in the county. They go to the churches, they support the businesses. And all of this could be stopped because I don't pay the sign-off fee. Right? And to us as ratepayers in the county of Leduc, we don't think this is fair.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Any clarifying questions for Mr. DeBlanco? I am seeing none, thank you. I understand you've had a meeting with administration. What I'm going to ask is county manager to provide at a workshop a summary of what kind of the types of things that Mr. DeBlanco has talked about. Councillor Balazar has shared some of it, but to get an understanding. And then that will help us understand what your conundrum is about fees. It's a difference between understanding them and agreeing with them, but we will take a look at them. That's what I will commit to you as a council in a formal setting. Okay, Councillor Vandenberg, did you have I thought you had Jen. Nope. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, move for information. Councillor Balazar, all in favor? It's unanimous. On to, I believe, Mr. Gallant and Brianna.
Excuse me, but that last one, if move for information, shouldn't it be the new suggested workshop?
I did count. Do we need a formal motion for that?
No, Madam Chair, we will bring forward Mr. Blanco's issues to a workshop and a report.
Okay. Welcome back, Brianna.
Thank you.
And whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Council. That was kind of first order of business, was welcoming back my colleague here,
sorry,
Brianna. That's
stole your
fine.
thunder.
Very happy to have her back and working on some of the projects that we're working on. This is an economic development update and Edmonton Global update for Council's information. And certainly if we have questions, please ask them as we go along. There's some new investments that are coming to the region. I was holding a discussion with a company that is investing in a location at EIA. This company is a technology play that will support a wide variety of businesses, such as pharmaceutical, packaging, medical device manufacturers, and cannabis production. The owner was inquiring as to how Leduc County could support his business, and I told him that we would certainly offer support and connections in the park to potential clients. And I did write up a letter of support as well for him. There is a small cannabis grower moving into a facility on 9th Street. We talked about a cannabis cluster in the past, and I guess this is kind of adding to that. Potential leads. Administration has held very preliminary talks with our regional partner in relation to an investor who is considering Leduc County as a location for the manufacturing facility. The company is widely known, and we are not at liberty to share the name at this time. In fact, they do have a facility already in the county as well as others in the region, but they're looking to consolidate. So very excited about that. Edmonton Global invited local economic development representatives downtown to meet a global leader in logistics who is considering a major investment into the region. And this particular play is, in my mind, exactly what Edmonton Global should be doing, is presenting potential investors to the EDOs in the region. So that was a really good meeting.
Question?
Yes.
Just more of a comment. I dropped a friend off at the airport this morning, and when I was driving back, I noticed a big billboard sign that said, "You're 5 minutes away from your next business investment, City of Leduc." We have nothing there saying that, welcome to
You're
Leduc
here.
County, come invest. I think that's something we seriously need to take a look at in the future and put us on a billboard out there.
Certainly, I believe we're talking with our communications team about signage, and those are some of the questions I think that the county certainly has. You know, the billboard on 625 always comes up in topics of conversation, so that's certainly worth an ask. Real estate update. I included the Q3 industrial market report from Colliers. They're listing the vacancy rate as 8.4%. Some others are varied, but they're usually within a percentage point of each other. So I'm not sure what an exact healthy number is, but I would say maybe that 6 or 7% would be a pretty good number to look at. I did meet with a new broker with a new firm that I had never heard of, Marcus and Millichip. What I wanted to portray to this particular firm was our value proposition. We've talked about the 4 T's: taxes, transportation, talent, time. I tried to make sure that they were aware of that, and certainly what types of industry sectors we're looking to help come into the region.
Mark, just hang on
Yes.
one sec. Yesterday, we somewhere came up, I'm looking to the fellow councilman, that there was another attribute that popped up in our learnings and discussions. You guys remember what it was? That is unique with Leduc County and the Nisku Business Park. I don't remember. I remember us talking about that's something that should be part of our narrative. You guys recall what that is offhand?
Yeah, I don't remember yesterday. No. I mean, I remember yesterday. I don't remember that part.
Okay, if it comes to us, Mark, we'll share that.
If
with
it doesn't start with a T, I'm sorry. We can't use
Or we'll have to make it start with a T.
Are you okay with silent letters?
it. Certainly. Yes, please, if there's something that you'd like us to highlight, please let us know. Sector updates. Agriculture. Next Tuesday at this time, we'll be having an update from the Alberta Hemp Alliance. I believe administration had been asked to get an update because there was participation in an Alberta Hemp Alliance out with Brazeau County and Drayton Valley, and they moved into the EIA area here. So I would say they're much more local, and Manny Dial, the executive director, and Corey Peebles, the chair, will be coming to present next Tuesday.
Question?
So Ray and I were on that committee. Is he going to be bringing information to what happened to our membership in that, like where everything went south?
Yes, they'll be bringing some history as to what happened there and what they're doing currently. So they'll certainly be able to answer your questions.
Well, I hope so, because we were just kind of blindsided that all of a sudden now they've got a place at the airport that we didn't even know was going to exist. So
Exactly. Yeah. So hopefully this will be able to answer all your questions. Energy. I saw on the agenda that I believe you were introduced to Kayla Goodwin at the Canadian Energy Museum. So that's nice to have a new fresh face there for an asset in the county. Edmonton Global hosted a webinar with over 400 attendees for companies that might want to take advantage of the opportunities in the hydrogen space. Administration had sent out invitations to energy-related companies that we are aware of in Nisku, from the fabrication shops to welding, coating firms to trucking and transportation operations. So hard to know exactly who was attending there. They didn't have cameras on or company names or anything like that. But I'm hopeful that we were part of some of those 400 attendees.
And certainly the expertise we have in manufacturing and advanced manufacturing, whether it's for hydrogen or gas or oil industry, should be pretty transferable. And we do have the expertise here. So that's great. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor Vandenberg.
I do recall what it is. Doesn't start with a T though. Insurance. Our level of service that we provide in this jurisdiction in the park is a narrative piece for companies able to come in at reduced insurance costs. Yeah.
Fire, not
Fire.
all insurance, right? Yeah. I don't know that we've had the
Absolutely.
comparison though with everybody else.
I'm not
Something
sure.
to
Just write it down
Yeah,
and look into
And
it.
look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Transportation logistics, based on conversations with a representative from Alberta Motor Transport Association, which of course has an office over
Yep.
at EIA. Administration is hearing that supply chain issues will continue to be a problem, and the industry is in desperate need of properly trained truck drivers. Of course, the closing of the roads in British Columbia due to the recent flooding has exacerbated that problem. Big news, I'm not sure if everybody heard, but Rosano Transport was purchased by GLS, Global Logistics Services, a subsidiary of the Royal Mail, which goes,
Yeah.
I believe they go back to like 1491 or something like that. So one of the oldest companies in the world, really. For approximately $360 million, I believe they'll maintain this.
I was just going to ask that if they'll
Maintain
stay.
the same naming, but certainly expand their operations. Some of the project status and updates, and there is a workshop next week for two of these particular projects. The broadband strategy, of course, was brought just before council in September. It was held over till after elections, and that we'll be bringing that report on December 14th, a week from today. We are exploring options with providers, third-party providers. There's 3 to 4 particular options that we're looking at, but after the report is accepted, then we'll pursue further action after that. Okay. The Niski Recreation Center redevelopment, same thing. There will be a report next week telling council about what is going on with that. We did receive last week a notice from Prairies Can, formerly Western Economic Diversification, that they're still processing our application. I'm not
That's
sure.
a good news. It's still in the hopper. It's not been refused. So that's good. That's
absolutely.
positive. I will look at that as a positive step.
Yeah, I would suspect the election and the change of naming perhaps delayed some of their decision making there. And we're still very bullish on that particular application. The project, the marketing videos, of which Madam Chair was a part of last week. Thank you very much for stepping in and being filmed for that. We are just finishing up. I think he's got one more company that he's looking to film at, but he's in the editing phase and getting logos together, et cetera. So we hope to have this project closed up by the end of this quarter, and we'll present those in the new year in Q1. Hopefully a public presentation at an economic summit that we're looking at. Edmonton Global, lots of things happening there. They are very busy in acquiring new board members with the sufficient skills and experience to help with strategic direction. Edmonton Global has provided an update on the Air Services Opportunity Fund, of which we were a leader in that, of course. This as a reminder, is to aid business-focused flights as opposed to the sun destinations that we often see in marketing. They did do a mid-year update last week on November 26th. Or that was the week before, wasn't it? I forget where we are now.
Mark, was there a significant turnover in board members? First question, and are they term limited, and that would be why, or is it, how does that work?
Yes, they're term limited, and
Okay.
I'm not sure of the exact years,
Yeah.
but yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Edmonton Global is working with Leduc County on 2 very significant investments that would establish the region as a leader in agriculture and food processing. Again, not at liberty to say exactly what they are, but they're in that particular.
What does it
industry
rhyme
sector.
with? No, just kidding. Well, that is good news. Keep the heat on.
Yeah, Edmonton Global is really doing what I thought they'd be doing for us. So our participation and being a member is paying off dividends now.
That's very helpful, because we were talking about the additional money we had put in for last year or for this year, and was it really, were we seeing any, where's the beef, right? And it's sounding like it might be coming to fruition. Thank you for your work on that.
Thank you.
With them.
Edmonton was talking about 4 different deals that are looking to close before the end of the year. Whether they'll be announced or not is another thing. But in general terms, one is an engineering firm looking at locating in the region, the metropolitan region, 50 to 100 jobs and $5 to $15 million investment. One is artificial intelligence. The third opportunity is an agricultural play in the plant protein space, which we could certainly be in the running for that one. And the fourth is a logistics distribution company with approximately a $50 million investment as well. Again, another good industry play for us.
And why would you not want to be across from the airport for that?
Exactly. Edmonton Global is working on a signature event to be held at the beginning of Q2. Similar to a conference like South by Southwest, if you've ever heard of that or seen about that in Austin, Texas, where they bring in art and culture and business and entrepreneurs and TED Talks and all kinds of things. So it's a bit ambitious because it's only 3.5 months away. But from a local perspective, we have Brianna is the chair of one of the sectors.
The Ag and Food Committee.
Nice.
So we'll definitely be represented well there in that particular area. Brent Lakeman, the hydrogen lead for Edmonton Global, has convened a committee to keep on top of the opportunities available to the region in this space. He will keep administration informed of updates, developments, areas where our municipalities can participate and support businesses that might contribute in the areas we excel at, like advanced manufacturing, welding, coating, pipeline construction. I note that Brent was just at the World Petroleum Congress in Houston right now speaking, so he's there this week. And you also may have seen last week that Edmonton Global was in Ottawa to share the region's strengths with our national politicians and lobbying in the space there. And lastly, it's not on my agenda here, but I wanted to talk about the EIA drone project, of which Councillor Vandenberg participated and represented the county at. Very successful. You may have seen some of the news programs featuring some film on it, and the Edmonton Journal. There's been a lot of talk around this particular project, so it's very exciting to be a part of an innovative new logistics play.
Questions for Mark or Brianna? Seeing none, looking forward to the workshops coming up. And the good news, the chamber shared some ribbon cuttings that we had. So you kind of forget how much we've actually continued to grow in the last year, and that was a good remembering of that. So hopefully we can, keep working ahead. Thank you again, Mark, to you and your team and communications for your support in the videoing. Really appreciated that, and look forward to seeing the final piece.
We do as well. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Council.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week, if not sooner.
Move for information. Councillor Scobie, all in favor? Carried. On to, and I believe we're going to connect with Zoom on this one for Ms. Hall, and it'll just be we'll just have audio. Is that correct? Yes, I'm seeing nods. To talk a little bit about the fleet management strategy.
Okay, good morning, Madam Mayor and councillors. I hope my volume is good.
Whenever you're ready, Ms. Hall.
Can you hear me?
We're having some audio difficulties here. We cannot hear you, so I'm looking at Kent.
Hello, test, test.
Oh, we can see you.
Yeah.
There you are. Acted all out.
Roseanne, are you able to hear us?
Yes.
We can't.
Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can't hear her.
We can't hear you. Hang on.
Okay.
Oh, we have,
sent in the 800 number too. She can just dial in with that. She's having
Can you just dial in, Roseanne? The invite should have the 800 number on it.
Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Technology is great when it works.
You entered 8-7. This meeting ID does not exist. Please re-enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
So for those who may be joining us on live stream right now, we're just connecting remotely with one of our staff members. So we are just waiting for that connection and having a quiet moment of thoughtfulness.
You are in the meeting now. There are 3 participants in the meeting.
Hello. Oh, sorry. I'm here, but I'm hearing the feedback. Yeah.
Like it would be like a data dump or a.
Yes, hello.
Just buy cows. You can always eat them when things go bad.
Roseanne, I'll try calling you.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Roseanne. Can you hear us?
I can, not great, but I can hear you.
I'll get closer to my microphone then.
Okay, I apologize.
It's okay. Whenever you're ready, you can start your report. We can hear you very clearly.
Okay. Okay, so basically, I'm here today to present.
Roseanne, we've lost your audio. You need to have the phone where you had it before. Sorry.
Okay.
Perfect.
I just need to figure out how to mute. I'm getting double feedback.
Turn your speaker off on your computer, and Roseanne, I'll flip through your presentation.
I've got it now. Okay, sorry, everybody. So I'm here to present. I'm sorry, Rick, but I'm getting feedback with everything I say.
If it's too confusing, Roseanne, we'll get Renee to provide the presentation.
Okay, I will listen in. Sorry.
Whenever you're ready, Ms. Klamosko.
Thank you.
So good morning. We have a report in front of the committee this morning in terms of the fleet management strategy that was prepared in 2021. So administration undertook an interdepartmental committee to complete a fleet management strategy. So currently we have a decentralized model in how we manage our fleet. So we brought a group of staff together to have conversations around how we can look at fleet management in a different way, in a more unified way moving forward. So the result of that work throughout this year is the report and the strategy that is within the report package. So we provided, so going right into the fleet management strategy, I'll go right into the report attachment. So we have the executive summary shows a summary of our current fleet vehicles. We have approximately 130 fleet vehicles with the replacement value of approximately $34 million. So for the purpose of the strategic plan, we included the following rolling assets. So we have our operational and administrative cars, trucks, vans, and sport utility vehicles. We have our motor graders, fire services, emergency response vehicles, as well as our enforcement and bylaw vehicles. So within the report and the steps, I guess, that were followed throughout this process, we have a summary here that we did a completion of a fleet current state audit. The development and rollout of administrative directive for placing new vehicles in service. We've done a review and updating of insured value of fleet. We have done a completion of condition assessments for all fleet vehicles in 2021. We created the working group that I spoke about. And then we also did a working group to create an asset management plan, which was completed in Q3. And then we've also done some security enhancements that have been implemented at Leduc County facilities that house our largest fleet complements. So for the development of this strategic plan, we have ultimately, it sets the framework for the management of the fleet assets for the next 3 years. So we have a summary of the current state, the newly adopted fleet management principles, a summary of current organizational challenges, strategies and actions to address these challenges, and a work plan to improve our practices across the county. So going into the current state, I won't go through the entire thing, but we did meet with various staff to really look at the current ways that we're handling fleet and itemized some key findings of the current state. So again, really around a decentralized management where department budgets include funds to acquire and maintain fleet vehicles. We have some corporate support provided through corporate services. So to provide for some of the centralization of vehicle decaling, accident investigation, insurance reporting, and items like that. We do have various information systems within the organization. So we have different systems within some of the different department areas, and that data is entered and managed by the department staff. We've done a review of all job descriptions in terms of where fleet responsibilities have been mentioned in these job descriptions. So there's 14 positions within the county that have some mention of fleet responsibility. We have some work, we looked at how we procure our vehicles as well. And so are there any questions with any of the items specifically within the current state document that council would like answered?
Any questions, Councillor Vandenberg?
So you mentioned that it's currently, or is a decentralized system. Has it not always been centralized system, or is that where you want to get to? Or you want to centralize?
So I think, so this page just really is talking about that current state. So it has always been a decentralized system. So I think with some of the discussions we've had, we see opportunities where we can do things a little bit differently to be more coordinated and collaborative in how we approach fleet management.
So you'll stay decentralized, but you'll spend more time investigating and coming up with standards as you drill down?
So as I go through the report when we get to our action plan and some of the steps we want to move forward with. For the immediate future, yes, we will remain decentralized. I think we have a working group that can be established to complete some things more collaboratively within the departments. But there is discussion in the future around the benefit of a potential fleet manager to maybe move towards a different way of doing things in the future, but that's not an immediate consideration. But I will speak to that in more detail as we move forward in the report. So going to the next page within the strategy, we have core principles. We thought it was important just to make note of those key things of how we want to manage our fleet as an organization. So we talked about the safety and security, how care, custody, and control of all vehicles and equipment are maintained at all times to ensure the security of all county assets and the safety of county staff. We talked about right sizing, so long range forecasting and planning to ensure Leduc County has the right number, size, and type of vehicles and equipment to ensure that all operational areas meet expected service levels and assets are leveraged to provide maximum value. We want reliability so that vehicles are ready to be deployed and we minimize downtime. Life cycle optimization, so the work that we're doing within asset management, looking at annual condition assessments, regular preventative maintenance programs, and so that we reduce expenses for that reactive maintenance and maximize end of life value. Right people with the right skills at the right time. So we talk about Leduc County's long-range succession plan for fleet management ensures that we continue to have the right staff complement with the right knowledge to maintain our fleet vehicles, and fiscal responsibility that ultimately we make decisions to balance the assets required to provide municipal services with the risk and effective use of county funds. Any questions on any of the principles?
Questions on the principles? No, high level, appreciate it. Yep.
Okay, so the next section, the group identified current challenges that exist within our current state of how we manage fleet assets. So really it outlines just areas that we think that we could do better, things that we see that are current challenges and that we want to work towards mitigating those challenges in the future. So we broke those down into the three various categories. So around responsibility and leadership of the fleet function, staffing and succession, and corporate support to the fleet function. Are there any specific questions about the challenges that have been identified?
I thought they hit the nail on the head.
Perfect.
Seeing no hands up.
All right. So now that we've identified and have documented those challenges, the next section of the report speaks to the strategies to address these challenges. So we've broken this down in two ways under these broader categories. So we have ultimately identified a strategy and then specific actions underneath that we can undertake to basically, move in a new direction and improve and mitigate the challenges or eliminate the challenges that currently exist. So we have two strategies identified within that corporate support to the fleet function. So the strategy is a cross-functional fleet working group, supports the fleet function by working together on specific actions identified in the strategy. So right now, we don't see a movement immediately into a more centralized type of management, just because with that, will require a dedicated, most likely FTE in the future to have that management oversight. But we thought there's lots of things we can do with the staff that we have within existing resources to action some items in advance of any consideration for a change in that structure. So any questions on that strategy?
Questions on the strategy around pulling them together and decentralizing but not?
Yeah. The next strategy, corporate services fleet facilities coordinator, provides support to the fleet management function by working on specific action items identified in the corporate support to the fleet function section of the report. So again, we've itemized specific actions within this strategy that will be completed by corporate services. Any questions here?
Questions?
Okay.
Nope.
So the next section is on staffing and succession. So the first strategy we speak of is a succession plan for fleet supports. Business continuity by proactively planning for the cross-training development and succession of staff who provide fleet oversight and servicing. So as we identified, we have 14 positions throughout the county that have direct fleet responsibilities. And we do have several, key staff that are close to retirement. So really looking at a formal succession plan to prepare and set ourselves up for success and ultimately to maintain our service levels moving forward. So again, actions are identified to accomplish that strategy. Moving to the final high-level section around responsibility and leadership of the fleet function. So the strategy is to leadership of the fleet function results in optimal services delivery through standardized and consistent practices, optimal fleet right sizing and life cycle management, logistical improvements, and business continuity. So again, we have identified actions that we can do to deliver on that strategy.
Questions there?
Okay. So the next and final section of the report is a prioritized work plan. So we looked at all the actions that were developed within that last section, and we looked at setting a priority. So actions are identified as priorities 1, 2, or 3, with 1 being the most important. Consideration was also given to ordering which actions need to be completed. What I wanted to highlight, though, is prioritization does not indicate a chronological timeline. For example, some priority 1 and 2 items may be completed in year 1 of the strategy implementation. So the reason we laid it out this way is there may be capacity with internal resources to perhaps take on a priority 1 and one priority 2 that might not take as much time to complete. So really what we're proposing as next steps with this work is to bring together that fleet working group, start looking at these actions that we've identified, and then start to work towards completing these actions that are mentioned in the report.
So just a couple of questions, and it's actually related to KPIs and reporting. Will the priorities form the basis for the KPIs? First question, will we see what's happening in our quarterly report with this project? And third, and I appreciated the part about capacity and not everything's chronological, but are there thought of dates to go with some of these? So 3 questions.
Okay, so I think our first step, like I mentioned, will be to bring together our fleet working group. So in our corporate plan for 2022, we have identified the implementation or the work to be done on the fleet management strategy. So we did identify that within the corporate plan because in 2021, we had identified the need to create a fleet management strategy. And now we have moved to, in 2022, now we're going to implement the actions out of that strategy. So you will receive updates through quarterly reporting through our corporate plan because we have that identified within our corporate plan. So that would be where we can speak to some of the deliverables here and what's being achieved will be through that mechanism.
Perfect, thank you. Any further questions for Renee?
Are you complete? No? Okay.
I can take any questions. I did not plan to go through the prioritized work plan in great detail, but if there's any questions, yes.
Okay, then I have questions.
Go ahead, Councillor Vandenberg.
So first of all, are you looking for an AVL standard and policy to be completed?
So within the corporate services 2022 plan is to do the AVL project. So we had that project profile document specifically around AVL. Yep. So we will be looking again, most of that project is done with internal resources. So staff time coming together to talk about AVL, looking at this, standards we want to create, what we need to do to, to establish some of those consistencies across the organization with AVL. So that is a project that is identified for completion in 2022. And so that is within the major project plan. So there would be reporting through quarterly reporting on that specific initiative. So that is something that has been undertaken.
Because your report identifies that it's kind of non-defined at this point. And so it's just a simple question, are you going to be looking to council for that policy upcoming? To me, this is, so the fleet management strategy is another layer of to the asset management plan. And the biggest components in here is succession planning. You still have your directors looking after their silos, and you're creating an opportunity for them to come together on a more formal basis. Your asset management plan already identifies a lot of the criteria that they check the box along on. So other than when you hit priority 3 is when the ask for an FTE comes in to one guy coordinate all that activity. And so I guess my comment is that it's pretty much operational right now. But thank you for giving us an overview, because at some point you're going to come with the ask of putting a person in play that can help coordinate probably both the fleet and to some degree the asset. I would think, but I think we have already somebody on the asset management. Do we?
Well, right now our asset management committee is comprised of representatives from all the various departments in the organization. So, but we don't have that one individual that has complete oversight of fleet for the organization. We're doing it collaboratively through our asset management committee. But there is definitely, we see in terms of the work that we did on this strategy, that in the future, somebody that is solely focused on the management of fleet and all of the complexity that comes with, the management of fleet, that there would be benefit to have that one individual that can do that coordination of repairs and maintenance, scheduling in with the mechanics, having that centralized approach to whether it's a fire vehicle or a road operations vehicle or an enforcement vehicle, and be managing the shop and all of those pieces. We see that benefit, but like I mentioned earlier, there's many things that we have in place right now. And with this strategy, we can do some actions that will allow us to manage our fleet in a more effective manner with that collaboration, and really having this fleet working group meeting on a regular basis. Then we can tap into where we can have some better synergies with some of that management. So I do think the one thing in terms, like I said, it's, a multi-year strategy at this point. And we will work towards knocking off and completing these various actions through the work through corporate services, as well as through that fleet working group.
That satisfactory, Councillor Vandenberg?
It is. I'm just pointing out that the biggest challenge right now is your succession planning. And all that is identifying it and having those conversations.
Yeah, and so we do see that
everything else here just seems to be right in line. You're already doing it, but you've formalized it in a report. And it's no different than what happens out there, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And I do think, in terms of that priority 1 for succession plan, that is why we have it within a priority 1 category, is that we do see that that's something that we need to put some dedicated resource time to develop what that plan looks like, so that, we ultimately want to have as little interruption to the service we provide, how these staff support fleet management or fleet servicing, to make sure that we don't interrupt our ability to deliver our services to our residents and businesses.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? I think this is a great project for us to be working on. I think we've seen even just recently through budget that there are some level of economies that can be belt if you're looking at our fleet as an entirety as opposed to individuals. And look forward to the work and look forward to how we're measuring it and reporting back to council. Any further questions? Seeing none, someone want to move for information? Councillor Scobie, thank you very much. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hall. Sorry we didn't have a chance to hear from you, but we appreciate you being here. Have a Merry Christmas.
Good to see you again.
All right, with that, we are at the end of our morning, so I will recess our Governance and Priorities Committee meeting until 1 o'clock. It's like grade 8 all over again.
I
isn't it?
resemble that remark.
It's because I said check, will be there in bed.
Well, a little bit of freezing rain tonight. I was a little worried I could actually walk. Sharon wears their little.
Are we ready, Ms. Klamosko? Thank you very much. Going to call our Governance and Priorities meeting back to order from lunch. 1 o'clock, we have a presentation from Solar Energy Project. And are our presenters here or are they doing online?
My understanding is, Madam Chair, they're supposed to be in person, but we don't, we will just check the hallway or.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. If not, we'll have Mr. Richards do the presentation. Because he's my favorite. Shall we give some time? I'm going to turn to Mr. Coleman or move into our in-camera. What, give a 5-minute window?
Perhaps a 5-minute window, Madam Chair, would be in order.
We will recess to 1:05, at which time we will start on the regional initiatives activities update. Thank you. I am scrolling down.
So a few things, CPAA conference coming up.
Wait, we're not hooked up yet.
Oh, I thought we were live.
I did too. I thought we were live through the recess, but we're not.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, whenever you're ready, Councillor Vandenberg.
So I just want to report back to the other councillors, some things that I have interest perhaps for them. I am a director with CPAA, Community Planning Association of Alberta. And the conference being hosted this year held this year will be hosted in Nisku, May 2nd to 4th. There's the website there to keep up with. There is a lot of interesting conversations, topics that are coming to the table that you might find interesting. But at this point, stay tuned. And I know that there's been a reach out to Mr. Bain from that group to talk about some of the local opportunities to show people around. But yes, it's hosted here in our backyard. The Beaumont Ag, they're all virtual meetings. Welcome the new councillor, Catherine McCook. There is going to be a special ask of Leduc County from the Beaumont and District Agricultural Society. So I don't know if that's occurred yet, but that's it's pretty substantial. So stay tuned. And the organizational first board meeting of the Regional Waste District. And we are successful in acquiring the chair.
Congratulations.
And the deputy chair is Chris Belkey from the town of Devon. And I think there's going to be some good things coming out of that. And
Question, is there any way we could get those minutes back from you within 48 hours from the garbage commission?
well, this upcoming meeting will be approval of those minutes. And so I could
48-hour window, we can be looking for those. Thank you.
I can. And then, of course, we've been talking a lot about RMA Fall Convention. First time in attendance, live attendance for quite some time. Very well attended. Lots of interesting items for discussion, particularly the emergent last resolution. Mr. Coleman, I don't know if I need to talk anything further about that. The name change of AUMA to Alberta municipalities was well received by RMA, but probably not the way you think. So those are the submissions for last month.
I'm going to turn over to, are those yours? And now the list, I will turn to maybe Ms. White or whoever has your list of other requests that you had. Do we have them recorded? And then we'll just go through them as they're listed. We could make them a little bit bigger. Or someone can read them for me. Thank you.
So, and then the first one with Minister Wilson, I don't need to speak to it really, but I thought for the benefit of council to have an overview as to what the visit was like with Minister Wilson, perhaps. Rick, you'd like to say some things on that?
All right, I'll seek permission from the chair to speak. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I thought it was a great meeting. Again, Minister Wilson is a pretty effective MLA. He does listen, he does care about his riding, the people inside of what he's doing. So he's pretty happy. Again, he was pretty happy with the site. I thought the fire hall, there was something in the Wetaskiwin paper the week later. He actually called a state of the art fire hall. We'll take that. But also heard other things from the community, 2A and the lights there. Again, I really like Minister Wilson. I perhaps in hindsight had wished that we had asked the other MLA in the area. Who is that?
I don't recall.
But again, we've done this before where somebody such as Minister Wilson is highly effective. And of course, we have 3-4 different MLAs within our area. And so we always seem to go with the one that tends to listen to us and tends to open doors. So again, I know in the strategic plan, we're looking at, I believe, looking at some advocacy and stuff going forward. So it was a good start. And I'll just go back to your presentation on RMA. I thought there was an adequate number of MLAs out to also talk to them. And they were trying to find, I think their way was the first time we've met in a long time. So it was a pared down one, but definitely got some points across with some of the MLAs there. Yeah, and I will say one thing, the NDP worked pretty hard.
Yeah,
They were
further
out.
to that, I think the ministers actually did a pretty good, the questions from the floor were heated and hard.
Have we provided Mr. Wilson with a thank you letter or something from attending that visit? And if not, I would suggest that we do that.
And if I may add, there was 2 takeaways that Minister Wilson agreed to, and of course, not all council is there, but one of them was speaking on behalf of the ambulance authority for some space in the fire hall. And the second one was based on the presentation I had given at 2A and Glen Park, a set of lights and a crossing there. And he was receptive to working with that. And that is now in the hands of Mr. Coleman, but certainly the council should have a say at this point on those 2 points. Third.
Oh, sorry. Are we going to follow up with a letter? Thank you.
The third item on the list, I think, is more housekeeping, but during our organizational, one of the committees that we belong to, Collaborative Economic Development, was not represented at organizational. And so this is just a process clarity question. Ought it be? Or is it an assumption?
So, Madam Chair, members of council, our memorandum of understanding that we signed for CED states that it's the mayors that are represented on the oversight committee or designate, obviously in the absence of a mayor. So there was no need for reappointment once Mayor Delanco was reappointed as mayor.
Okay, but we do talk about EMRB in our organizational, so I thought this was another, I don't know the difference between this
Yes,
one and.
CED is a separate entity. It's not at the EMRB table. It's the same members as EMRB, but it is arm length from EMRB.
Okay, so I just wanted clarity on that. The fourth item that I have, there's Leduc Regional Housing Foundation. And this is a question of, do our members need some direction from council on that file, on that committee? Because I'm kind of hearing different things. So I thought, well, let's talk about it. And so the question is posed to our representatives.
What are you looking for?
What can we get? Is it something that we ought to be talking about?
Okay, well, are you as to what's happening there or what's what they're doing? We go with meetings. There's been no money for building new buildings. They did put in an application for a rapid housing grant last spring, which would have, had it been successful, would have brought in the money to build where that old fire hall was in Leduc. We didn't make the first round, but they did hold on to our grant or application and didn't get that. That just come up here this last week or so that we didn't make that either. So that is dead and gone. So we're back to they're just back to operating the facilities they have. There are no other government. We can't build without government fundings, and there isn't funding out there to do them. So
is there any housing earmarked for the county, specifically New Sarepta?
Go ahead.
Again, I'm not sure if everybody knows the study that we did commission with rural Alberta housing and the federal government and housing needs assessment in New Sarepta. And it was showing that housing could be there. I guess the one direction I wouldn't mind getting from council is we do have that piece of land in New Sarepta. And I haven't done much at the Housing Foundation. In fact, I've missed the first 2 board meetings. So I just wanted to come clean, kind of a testimonial right now that I'm not there. But I would like marching orders and permission from this council, if that's an interest, to put that block as a donation possibility if money ever did come our way, because I know there's been some changes in the last month from the Alberta government where maybe there's private dollars in. So maybe a workshop in the future.
Mr. Coleman, do we not have this scheduled for a workshop?
Not formally, but it is on my list of items
Okay,
to bring
so
forward. Our
we will
workshops
get it on a workshop.
are pretty full right now till through to March.
Right, we want to understand the study that was done. We want to understand how it fits in with Leduc Housing Corporation as well as the other pieces. Go ahead, Councillor Lewis.
Thank you. Having sat on that board previously, perhaps you could bring it up at your next meeting, what the appetite is at the board level for new investments within the region.
Do you mean Leduc County region or the current push to move the seniors out of Leduc County into urban areas?
The Leduc County region. Thank you.
And just to piggyback on Councillor Scobie's topic, the Leduc Foundation runs a very, I would say, operational meeting monthly where you're getting updates. There's not a lot of opportunity for input that impacts what we're doing, and we have no say in the requisition. And so you really are providing input to the board on operational items.
Not capital expenditures?
There are no capital expenditures.
It's all just operational now. In the 4 years that I was on there, there has been no capital funding, aside from requisitions, which doesn't even start to build buildings, so.
Thanks. Some opportunities or some things that happened in November. Councillor Smith was able to attend the swoop announcement. There's got to be some interesting things coming out of that announcement.
Yes, very interesting things coming out of that announcement. Actually, it was a good day to come out. I thought I don't get to go to the EIA a whole lot, but it was a well-hosted event. Again, it's just another service. It's another way of building our traffic, our air traffic, our passenger traffic out. And I looked at some of the routes that they have, I guess it serves us a lot better. So again, Edmonton didn't have their mayor. They had a designate. Leduc County didn't have their mayor. They had a designate. But it was a good event. And I know you guys continue on a weekly basis to attend stuff going on in the airport. So other than just a growing company that's kind of a offshoot of WestJet, investing in Edmonton with some, I guess, some great routes right across North America. And again, lots of backslapping going on, but it was a good.
Is Swoop head office now in Edmonton?
I'll have to get my people to look, and I'm going to get somebody to come around and get your card, and I can get back to you on that. It's a WestJet subsidiary, so I think it's still out of Calgary, but
Alberta.
Yeah, I think it's a Calgary thing. My people will be over right away to grab your card.
Thank you. A couple of calendar items for the mayor. You did talk about the Thorsby meet and greet, just to follow up on that. And then a meeting with Mayor Nachu. And just to follow up.
Sure. Thorsby had an opportunity to meet with the new mayor. Topic was the issues around recreation, which carried over through the election, and how we can get back onto the partnership that we've had. Was able to provide to the new mayor information directly from Mr. Honesty in Parks and Recreation, who provided that to me. And so that really was the thrust of the meeting, is ensuring that he understood our position. And I believe the meeting was his request. Mayor Nachu contacted Mayor Nachu is also the vice chair of the EMRB, and the phone call was in relation to the December 9th board meeting and the process that would be followed for the election or appointment of the new board chair and committee members, which will be followed up today in our in-camera item.
Thanks. The last item is the Emma Duveau announcement at EIA as well on the 25th. The link to the that enterprise is there. Just very interesting type of business forming at the EIA, clothing and high-end specialized clothing that I thought was quite interesting to talk about, and mention that it's going on in her backyard. And I guess my only other point is that other than being pointed out to by the chamber, I was not aware of this event. And it was fairly high profile. So just wanted to make that known as well.
Thank you. Any further comments? I'm seeing none. Move those information items for information. Councillor Lewis, all in favor? It's unanimous.
Sorry, we missed one.
Oh, it's too late. We're gone. Okay, go ahead.
The workshop. So we're having a lot of workshops. Workshops are really important to us. It's a lot of information that is coming our way in a short period of time. And Mr. Coleman, you just mentioned that we're getting a little bit tight on the workshop schedule. If we could start one of our workshops and talk about workshops to get our minds focused on what is it that we should be considering to be a workshop. I noticed on the last schedule, that there's 3 initiatives that Councillor Smith has tagged to the bottom, assuming that it's going to be tried to slip in at some point. But I think it's an opportunity for council and administration to kind of sync with the notion of the workshops and the importance of it, and how, I mean, you have it's not a new council. You've got a council that's in their 2nd term now, and maybe to have that a little bit of a discussion to understand the value and how to leverage the workshops would be in order. And that's the intent of what I've mentioned there.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm not sure there's anywhere else we can go because everything else is in camera. Is that correct? No. Oh, the last item? Oh, we Councillor Lewis did, yeah.
We didn't vote.
I thought we did. Okay.
For an instant replay.
So welcome, gentlemen. We seem to have a bit of a time discrepancy. So as soon as you're ready, you can start and just let us know.
Are we early or are we late?
You're late.
Oh, we had 1:30.
I know, we thought we had 1 o'clock. So there's the and therein lies the discrepancy. And it's no worry, we were able to fill the time with other items, but whenever you're ready. Just a question, do you want questions during your presentation or do you want us to hold questions till the end?
I think you can feel free to ask questions as we go through, and we do have a FAQ at the back of the presentation, so I might tell you we'll address it later on, but yeah, feel free to jump in.
Okay, thank you. So whenever you're ready, gentlemen.
Well, thanks for having us. My name is Richard Haas, Managing Director of Voltairix Group. Beside me is David.
Yep, my name is Dave DeBruin. I'm the Director of Engineering and Operations.
So appreciate the time. We wanted to come in and talk about a project that we've been working on just south of Kalmar, obviously in central Leduc County here. So for an agenda, we'll have a brief introduction about Voltairix Group, discuss the proposed project, the market regulators, impact management, community benefits, public engagement plans, what we've done with Leduc administration to date, FAQ, and then roundtable discussion. So our goal of this meeting is to seek and understand Leduc's position on utility solar developments, encourage trust, transparency, and a collaborative effort to progress solar within Leduc. We also want to educate council on the risks, benefits, and impact mitigations, as well as market limitations of solar development within the county. We hope to seek alignment and support from council at the end of the day to progress with the Creekside Solar Project. So as a company, Voltairix is an Edmonton-based renewable energy company. We're founded in 2017. David and I were co-founders of the business, and since we've brought in a few other partners into the business as well, and have grown our operations to provide vertically integrated utility solar development services. So as a company, we have the ability to perform consulting, full EPC construction and engineering of projects, asset management, development, and of course, operation and management of the facilities. Markets we serve, so distributed energy resources, battery storage, utility scale solar energy, which is the primary focus of the project that we'll present here today, as well as smart grid technologies. Currently, we have a little bit over 75 megawatts of projects that are pending regulatory approvals with the Alberta Utility Commission and are progressing through the Alberta Electrical System Operator. We're also performing feasibility studies across a number of projects around Alberta. Our predominant focus is central Alberta, and we'll discuss a little bit why that is further into the presentation. We're also working collaboratively with some Indigenous groups across Western Canada and are looking at joint venture and ownership with some of these Indigenous parties in these projects as well. The proposed project. So the reason we're here today, we wanted to present the Creekside Solar Project. So It's about a 27 megawatt DC peak solar project. That might fluctuate a little bit once we get final design, which we're progressing on. It's currently on privately owned greenfield site near the intersection of Township Road 494 and Range 271. The power equivalency of 27 megawatts is roughly 5,000 residential homes' annual electricity needs. We'll produce close to 35,000 megawatt hours of generation and displace 18,000 tons of carbon based on the current electricity grid displacement factor out of this solar project. So an interesting thing, 100% of that green energy is going to be consumed here in Leduc County. Little snip of the project site. So you can see we're just directly southwest of Kalmar there. Overall project schedule. So in Q1 of 2021, the land was secured. And since then, we've performed a number of regulatory requirements on the site, including environmental studies, solar glare, noise impact, detailed grid interconnection design, which we're progressing through with Fortis. So we'll be tying into Fortis's wire service in that area, directly on the Buford substation, which is in the northwest corner of the parcel. We've secured approximately $35 million of investment through an international group, and we're engaging with Indigenous partners, as I've mentioned before. We've met with Leduc administration to gain some feedback on the project, as well as understand what we can do with agricultural concerns. Our Alberta Utility Commission power plant will be submit either end of December, if we can get it in before Christmas. If not, it'll be early in January. And then Leduc County development permits will follow the Alberta Utility Commission process. So we're not planning on breaking ground on this project until Q1 of 23, giving us enough time to procure equipment, solar modules, and get the necessary approval from the Utility Commission. And construction will take about 8 to 9 months. So the project will be in service by Q4 of 23.
I have a question around your environmental studies.
Yep.
As you know, the creek running through the eastern portion of that property is listed in the county's MDP as an environmentally significant area. How has your environmental study overlapped or responded to that? That is a key wildlife corridor from the North Saskatchewan River, I would say, all the way to Wizard Lake, and has been looked at as being protected somewhat in the county. So
yeah, thanks for the question. So we have engaged Core Environmental Services, so they're our environmental study consultant. We've also reviewed the existing ESAs that are within Leduc County's plans. So we do address it a little bit further into the document, but we have noticed that the ESA with Leduc County proposes that that's a low risk significant area. And while we do understand that it is a significant area, our environmental consultant has done their analysis and has proposed adequate setbacks from that creek. So obviously we're looking at developing that entire quarter section. So we do have setbacks that are going to be reviewed and approved by Alberta Environment and Parks, taking into consideration the existing ESA that Leduc County has, as well as the studies that our consultant has performed.
And not sure if part of your studies, that is a fish-bearing creek and needs to be treated, as we know, when we build a bridge, very, very carefully around any kind of development.
Yep, understood. So a big reason why we've chosen this site within Leduc County, there's unmet demand for renewable energy within central Alberta as a whole, as well as Leduc County. Proximity to the greater Edmonton area, skilled workforce, and Leduc communities obviously is a benefit to the project. The site hosts existing power infrastructure, which is a big driving factor as to why we selected this site. So the image to the right there, I know it's a little bit tough to see, but there's a highlighted red section on there that shows the approximate area of where power from this solar project will be distributed within Leduc County. And that's utilizing Fortis's distribution grid coming out of the Buford substation, which is directly on the parcel that we've chosen. So allowing choosing that particular parcel has allowed us to have a high impact project that's actually going to disperse a lot of renewable energy throughout Leduc County. Obviously, there's growing communities within Leduc, Nisku, and Kalmar, so the project will support the rising energy demand there. And the utility service being a discretionary use of the existing zoning, we felt was not a barrier to the project.
How many other pockets of land in this area did you look at before you settled on this one?
We did pursue a number of sites. I don't have an exact number.
Yeah, when we initially were looking at the county map, we initially looked at about a couple hundred sites and then some active engagements with about 6 or 7 landowners until this one and finally came through as the selected site. So there was quite a extensive research. We had about a year reviewing a lot of different sites. So it definitely wasn't without a lot of planning to select the site. It was the highest impact. And as Richard had touched on before, with the substation on the parcel itself, it does reduce a lot of the interconnection costs, which is a key driver for all these solar facilities. If you have to build transmission and distribution infrastructure to the project, it is a financial barrier. So it was definitely the highest impact site that we could find.
And did I hear you were going to address farmland later in the presentation, or do I?
We will, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess to build on that a little bit, obviously having the Buford substation directly on the parcel, I always like to use the analogy of that substation as like a tree. So having the substation directly on our parcel is like us being on the bottom of the tree at the trunk, and then all the wires that distribute within this highlighted red area are the tree branches. So the closer we can be to that tree trunk, the more power we can actually offset geographically within the community. So if we were to select a property that's, say, in the northwest quadrant of this highlighted red area, the probability and likelihood of us being able to actually distribute power to all of this area within Leduc County is very, very low, because we're actually tying into multiple feeders out of that substation, or multiple tree branches, to use the analogy, to distribute power across the county. Whereas we might be at the end of a tree branch somewhere else and not have as high of an impact.
Councilor Vandenberg.
Just for relevance, that area that you've indicated, can you give us a sense of how many quarters is that?
That is a great question. The next slide might help you. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's close to all of zone 5 and 4 of the county. So if you know how many quarters that is, that might help. But I can get back to you on a number with that. So yeah, this slide is obviously just another image of the impact that solar project will have within the county. Felt that it was a relatively high impact image to show with all of the county on this one slide. We also felt that there was alignment from what we've read within Leduc County's mission, values, and master plan. So, I don't need to read this out to you, but obviously we felt that there was some alignment within the values and commitments of Leduc to serve your citizens and serving communities, as well as seeking fair, equitable solutions and pursuing innovation. To highlight a few points within the plans that we've pulled from Leduc County, 3.2 of the initiative E9 support innovation in business. So seek out and identify emerging industrial and energy need trends and understand their requirements for growth. So renewable energy being an emerging market with projects in most neighboring municipalities, we felt that this could help serve this goal. Another one, 4.1, initiative E13. So this is from the Economic Development and Growth Management Strategy. Infrastructure and utilities are costly, so I won't read that whole thing. It's more or less making the point that for the municipality to attract growth and investment within the community, a lot of times it requires costly infrastructure on behalf of the municipality to attract these types of investments, particularly with industrial parks and commercial development and the likes of that. The solar project obviously doesn't require any underground infrastructure, no water, no sewer, no additional access roadways, highways, the likes of that. So it will attract close $30 to $35 million worth of investment within a rural area of Leduc County where this type of investment might not be attracted otherwise. Economic, competitive, and employment. So this is also from that same document. So objective to build economic resilience through diversification and adaptation to changing economic conditions. So we felt this one aligned very well with the project, being that Alberta is on the forefront of a major energy transition to increase its renewable generation and support ESG objectives. Creekside Solar will employ nearly 200 workers during the peak of construction and include several permanent jobs, again, in some of the more rural parts of the county where there might not be as many of these types of opportunities. The project also increases diversification for work for local farmers and provides opportunity for youth to engage in agricultural industries. And I'll touch on that a little bit as well when we dive into how we're protecting ag land.
If you could please explain that statement. I don't understand how the project increases diversification for work for local farmers, because what I've heard from local farmers is it's taking a quarter section of number one farmland out of production. It's going to drive up the cost of the other farmland in the areas, which is going to make it harder for young farmers to get involved in agriculture. So I don't understand that.
Yeah, so
statement.
we're working pretty diligently to try and incorporate agricultural uses into the project. And one of the things we've done is reached out to young agrarians, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, being a group that tries to pair individuals with desire and interest to get into the agricultural industry with landowners who don't have the use and desire to cultivate land. So we're currently listed within their land pairing program to put this site out into the young agrarians market, and they're actively pursuing young individuals who want to farm between the rows of the solar array. And we're looking at multiple different uses of what they could be growing within there.
Thank you.
6.3 green building and low impact development practices. So the county has the objective to promote efficient energy use within buildings and support the development of alternative sources of energy such as solar and geothermal. So, I mean, this one, we obviously hit the nail on the head, but we did notice that from the MDP monitoring June 2021, only 1.4% of permits within Leduc County have a sustainable energy initiative tied to them. So it is an area that has room for improvement. In regards to energy regulators, obviously the county is not the only party involved in approval of these types of projects. So the Alberta Utility Commission, the Alberta Electrical System Operator are both large decision makers in this process. So again, our AUC application will go in the fourth quarter of 21, so December, January coming up here. We're currently in gate 3 with the Alberta Electrical System Operator performing detailed engineering of grid interconnection. We've completed Alberta Historic Resources and received approval from them. Our Alberta Environment and Parks will be pending a renewable energy referral report. That will be obviously an item that we'll share with you as soon as we receive that. Alberta Transportation has reviewed and approved the project, as well as NAV Canada. And again, Fortis and AltaLink coincide the Alberta Electrical System Operator.
And if I could, what is the authority that Leduc County will provide? Is it a development permit? Is it a rezoning? What is our role?
So what would be required from the county is a development permit approval. And that's it.
And that is following all these other approvals. Is that correct?
There is no formal critical path as to how it would flow. Okay. That's not dictated in any way, but we would pursue that after receiving these other approvals.
Thank you. Councillor Blaser?
Yeah, I was just wondering, you're talking about hooking into the system there. Why would you have not gone out to say out at the power plant, out at Genesee, use of land out there that has just been reclaimed, and you can hook into a system there? Or was there any checking done into that, or is this your first choice?
Yeah, it's a good question. We do address it in the FAQ in particular, and if it's all right, I'll address that one later. Within the Alberta Utility Commission, the two big items with them is Rule 7 and Rule 12. Within Rule 7, we have to perform participant involvement programs. So we'll be consulting with nearby neighbors as well as the county as a whole. Environmental impact assessments, Alberta transportation. These are all requirements of the Utility Commission, as well as.
Sorry, may I ask what the defined radius is?
The defined radius for Rule 7 is 800 meters from the site, is a one-on-one consultation. However, with the Alberta Utility Commission, it's open to public. If you're an Alberta citizen, you can share your voice.
Thank you.
The noise impact assessment, again, is a requirement of the AUC, as well as solar glare. So again, Mary, you had identified Conjuring Creek being a high-risk item or a significant environmental area. And per the Leduc County ESA study by Fiera in 2015, it's identified as a low-risk area and has a defined radius on that creek as well, identifying what would be concerned as a wildlife corridor and the likes of that. That's just a shot of Conjuring Creek there to give you guys an idea of scale if you haven't been there yourself. But those environmental studies will address seasonal wetland studies, wildlife patterns, vegetation, invasive rare species, natural drainage, reclamation and decommissioning, as well as any amphibian species within that Conjuring Creek. Alberta Transportation, again, they've reviewed the project. Us not being close to any highways on this particular parcel is a relatively straightforward approval by ABT. Community benefits, so stimulating economy. So we'll employ local labor, increase demand for local accommodations and services through all stages of the project. Municipal tax revenue, so the project will be taxed by the province's linear tax assessment, and there will be a fairly sizable tax revenue coming from the project to the county. Green energy, of course, is a value to Leduc County, improving air quality, emissions-free electricity, resulting in meaningful offsets of fossil fuel generation and lowering Alberta's carbon footprint. Local generation again, so electricity will be generated in the area where it will be consumed. So this is closely tied with smart grid technologies and is the transition of the energy grid within Alberta right now. Public consultation, so we will commence the public consultation portion of the AUC requirements. We wanted to sit here and have this meeting with council prior to going out to your constituents and hope to gain an understanding of where you guys sit on the project and hopefully leave the meeting with a better understanding and support and as well as transparency between both parties as to how the project will be handled. Our consultation will involve public notification, one-on-one consultations, phone calls, as well as an open house. So when that open house date is established, of course, you'll all be made aware of that and we'll advertise within local county newspapers and the likes. So this is an example of the document that will be sent to all people within the consultation radius of the project. We also will make this publicly available on our website as well as post on, if Leduc County is willing to post it on your website, we'd be happy to do that as well. I don't need to dive into everything there, but it'll address, who Voltairix is, contact information for consultation, frequently asked questions, just the backside of the document, addressing some of the impact management, schedule benefits, and just project information overall. So we have met with Leduc Planning Administration already on the project. We met with 3 individuals listed there. We have submitted a pre-application development permit package to the county for their feedback and have received feedback from all departments within Leduc County. We can go through some of that feedback here shortly. Administration has confirmed that the existing land use supports solar as utility service major as a discretionary use. Again, in October, we submitted the pre-application development, which was reviewed by Leduc Planning Administration, Safety Codes, Engineering and Utility, as well as Long Range Planning. Some of the feedback we got from Safety Codes was in regards to electrical drawings, just a level of detail, whether the project was within CE Code Part 1 or Part 3. And that was most of the feedback we got regarding safety. A lot of technical related stuff. There are no standing concerns from Leduc Safety in that regard.
And if I could just jump in there, another big reason for our detailed electrical drawings to come at a later date is as we're progressing through our Gate 3 with ASO and Fortis, they may change some of the site requirements, so it may drastically change some of our layouts. So in efforts to try not to reinvent the wheel, we're waiting to have them confirm what we're allowed to connect into the grid and the layouts available, and then go into our detailed engineering so we don't have to do it twice essentially. So we have some draft layouts, but the detailed design will follow after we get to around Gate 5 with ASO and AltaLink.
Engineering and utilities feedback was predominantly focused around erosion control, runoff, sediment, and dust. So we are not stripping any soils from the site. Natural drainage will occur. We're not regrading the site, so it'll drain as it has been draining already. We will perform a stormwater management plan in accordance with Leduc County's requirements. So we're awaiting the standards for that stormwater water management plan. Again, no real significant concerns here, but a few items for us to work through. Long range planning, of course, had some of the more significant concerns that were raised. I'm not going to read that all out there, but I highlighted some of the key takeaways. So maybe worthwhile forwarding the pre-application to Kalmar for their information and input. So we have met with the mayor of Kalmar and administration once already, and they were generally supportive of the project. They wanted to, understand where Leduc County was sitting on the project, but they showed no major concerns. The approving municipality at their sole discretion shall require an environmental assessment to be conducted by a qualified professional. So we have addressed that. We'll provide the renewable energy referral report received from Alberta Environment and Parks, reviewing that environmental assessment as well. And we can provide a copy of our environmental assessment. The growth plan identifies subject lands as prime agricultural. So this is obviously a big one. The MDP has similar language and encourages energy-related development to be located near Genesee area and take advantage of the existing infrastructure in that area. So again, we understand the sensitivities regarding agricultural land and Leduc's priority to protect ag land. We're actively engaging in industry to utilize the cultivatable land between rows of the solar modules. So the land is currently used to grow hay.
Sorry, pardon me?
The land is currently used to grow hay.
That is not true, sir. It is cropland. That quarter section is cropland. I live half a mile from there.
Okay. Yeah, when we visited in the spring, I was told that it was going to be hay that year. I haven't visited since
and it's not hay yet.
Okay.
Okay, well, that was what we've been told by the current owner of the property, so. Sheep can be brought into the site and used for grazing. So that's something that's very common with solar projects and certainly something that we're looking at doing with vegetation control. And the site, again, is currently listed with young agrarians seeking interested young farmers who want to gain access to the agricultural industry. The next item there, if the county were to have significant concentrations of renewable energy located on prime agricultural land, it would likely impact the county's agricultural sector. So again, if you read that whole statement, it identifies that we're talking about one quarter section of land, and well, 1/4 section of land might not be a significant deal if this sets precedence to absorb more solar projects and absorb more agricultural land within the county. That can certainly become an issue. So some of the market conditions, such as the ASO geographic renewable energy needs and existing power infrastructure, limit the amount of projects that can be in one geographic area. So as soon as a project is built within this area, it essentially absorbs the hosting capacity on the existing infrastructure, and there isn't space on the existing hosting capacity to push another solar project onto the grid in that area. So that is a natural market limitation that is going to prevent the absorption of additional farmland. Another big piece is that it focuses on fragmented agricultural land, and this site is already fragmented with the existing substation on it. So again, with agricultural land, we're really focusing on a dual use approach. No soils are going to be stripped from the site, which align with the Leduc County agricultural strategy to prioritize soil. There are no below grade contaminants, no sewer water lines required. There's no concrete slabs. So unlike a commercial building where you put a concrete slab down and it kills the fertility of the soil, that's not going to happen on this site. That soil is going to be as good as it is in the future. Steel driven piles can easily be removed at time of decommissioning, and the land can easily be returned to agricultural use. So typical lifespan of these types of projects is around 30 years. So with a long time horizon, obviously 30 years isn't a short time, but for Leduc County and staying power of agricultural land, this land can certainly be turned over to agricultural uses again in the future. It's not taking this out of agricultural inventory permanently. Again, the site is already a fragmented agricultural site due to the substation and wetlands. Young agrarians. So again, we're listed with young agrarians. There's a link to our posting there if you have any interest in taking a look at it. Intent is to match the land with young people with an interest and desire to become stewards of the agricultural industry. This image to the right here shows the approximate area of how much land can be cultivated between the rows. So that little orange box just is to show width. That's approximately 25 feet. And so about 50% of the entire quarter section could be continued to be cultivated. So that's certainly something that we're looking at, a dual use approach. We've met with Leduc Agricultural Services, Aaron and Sharon, and they haven't had significant concerns, and they're actually quite excited about a dual use approach on this project, and have been collaborative in helping us identify some of the interesting uses that would work well in this type of setting. How much energy will it generate? So we touched on that once already. The 27 megawatts is roughly equivalent to 5,000 Alberta homes. We'll also produce about 15,000 carbon credits. So each one is an equivalent to 1 ton of CO2.
Who gets the carbon credits?
Province.
They would be retained by Voltairix for commercial use.
Thank you.
Is there a risk of contamination to the land or air? So no, solar modules don't leach chemicals. There's no underground hazardous materials, and they obviously don't emit dangerous heat capturing fumes. So why not reclaimed land near Genesee? So one, land rights in that area have been difficult to secure. Trying to outbid significantly larger power producers than we are. There's currently 7 projects under the Alberta Electrical System Operator in that area, all capital power, gas and gas conversion projects. The site area is suited well for transmission connected projects. There is a lot of existing infrastructure in there, but not quite as well suited for a distribution project like this. The distribution grid near Genesee Lake is served by the Keystone substation. So that's further west near Alsek. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Alsek. Where the best siting locations are actually in Brazeau County due to concentration of wetlands in that area. So to have a high impact project within Leduc County, you'd want to be tied into the Buford substation if you want to push distribution generation projects out. Otherwise, you can do a transmission connected project and put it on high voltage power lines, and that power will go back into Edmonton. We felt that this was a high impact project that would benefit the county. Achieving AUC and ASO approvals for a project with proximity to significant other existing generation is likely very challenging and poses additional risk to developers who want to pursue that. What will be done to prevent weeds from spreading to adjacent farmland? We'll manage those weeds, any noxious weeds, through mechanical and natural means. Obviously, our preference is to do it naturally and utilize sheep. The image on the left there is actually, go ahead.
So I was waiting for this slide. So the sheep reminds me of something that's quite comical, but I want to point out that what you see there is what you get. You're talking about a 27 megawatt. And so quick calculation, that's around 77,000 panels at 350 watts a panel. So it's quite large. I don't get how you're going to cultivate in between that. You're going to, in the area of Kalmar, I think you're looking at sterilizing class 2 soil to hay and pasture. And the funny part about this is if you had Jeremy Clarkson from Clarkson's Farm farming this with his Lamborghini tractor, he'd be, all them panels would be laying down on the ground, and he's not very good with sheep either. If you've never seen it, you don't get it.
I get it, it's funny.
I'm wondering why the class 2 area. We've got Division 1 and Division 7 that have soils that are quite limited in terms of agriculture. The other thing that I don't see addressed here is the recycling. Are the costs built in to dismantle and recycle these panels down the road, which could be quite costly that no one ever cares to talk about. The carbon tax credits you talked about, they're yours. You know, really, the landowner is, are you compensating the landowner? Because I think it's a limitation to what he can do on the property. The other thing is, would you agree with this comment that wind and solar will, in about 10 years, generate 3 to 5% of our grid power? Because that's what the projections are. So once again, you're taking a large area, putting a lot of panels on it for a small contribution to the power demands that we have. So you can agree with me or disagree with me on that statement. That's fine. The last question I had was, you know, you're investing 30 million into it. I get that. And so linear tax, no, appreciate that too. But there's got to be some other ways of cohabitating with these lands, with these projects. And the knee jerk in me says, yeah, I don't know about this type of location. What about public lands? What about, like I said, Division 1, Division 7, where our MDP has pointed out that we're small acreage lots because you can't grow anything other than grasses on it. To me, that seems like more of a reasonable fit. Those are my comments.
Which ones are you want to take?
Comments or questions? Do you want us to address those?
You can respond to any comment or question that you just heard.
So again, why class 2? The one of the driving reasons why this site was selected is truly that tree analogy and the proximity to the Buford substation. So if we were to pursue another site in a different geographic area, the impact that project could have is much lower. We would likely be at the end of a distribution feeder And the hosting capacity of that project would be significantly lower, which would require massive infrastructure upgrades, which just prohibit the project.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. I'm just saying that whoever land you put this on private, that is to say, he's gonna be looking at a return. Either he puts panels on it, or I don't think he'll ever put sheep on it, but he'll put a cultivator in the ground. So from my point of view, you know, I'm worried about the solar conversation, because no one ever talks about the windmills and the solar panels, what it's gonna cost to take them down and recycle them correctly. No one ever talks about that, which is a personal peeve of mine. And I'm not against alternative energy. I mean, I understand the world we're living in. And it's good that you're here today to bring this to us. Allows me to talk, allows you to talk, allows everybody to talk. So, but I don't think there's open arms yet until a few more things are understood.
Okay. Yeah, I guess more towards why this site, because I think it is a big thing to understand from both sides. For us, it does affect a couple of things. So there's the revenue stream. So the more branches or substation feeder lines we can tie onto, the better. So that's why this location geographically, we can tie onto multiple of the feeder lines. And when you are away from this substation, the further you get away, you reduce the chances of hitting more than one line. So it drastically reduces the revenue by not being in close proximity to the substation. As well, as soon as you get close to, a couple of kilometers away from the substation to say some other different classes of land, the wire upgrades to bring the size of the cables that are obviously larger by the substation and less as they peter out, they could be upwards of $3 to $5 million per line, which puts a nail in pretty much the project feasibility. So that's why when we look at the site, it is critical looking at the economics of it. And I know Richard had touched on it before, just the sheer market economics dictate kind of where we can and cannot even put a site.
How many substations are in Leduc County that you looked at?
I don't have a number exactly, but it's probably close to about
3.
Yeah, 3.
And the other 2 are located where?
So there's the one near, sorry, I forget the name, the one out west, Alsic.
Yeah.
And then there's a substation within the more urban area of the county.
The which area?
Within this more urban area of the county.
Yeah.
There's one up just down the street here, actually.
Which is closer to where we have development, which makes more sense from a county perspective. Because that's kind of, when we worked on our MDP, it was, we'll try and do this type of work closer to where we're not planning on doing any industrial parks or anything like that out by Kalmar. We are not. What we are doing is we're building along Highway 19, we're building along the Spine Road, we're building along Nisku, which would make more sense for us to have that there because the land is already kind of looking like it's industrial. As Kelly said, as Councillor Vandenberg said, this is not something that's being looked at in the neighborhood with open arms. I've probably had between 15 and 20 phone calls because there is no secrets, right? I mean, there's no secrets in rural Alberta. And everyone is asking the same question. Why would Leduc County approve a solar farm on number 1 farmland? What were we thinking? And that is going to be the crux of a lot of it because we see that there's other spots that it could go. And it is difficult. And when I look at your map, you have all of Division 5, part of Division 4, which actually is rated in our MDP as being our best farmland. And so that's a real disconnect for us who worked hard on our MDP, worked hard with our farmers, worked hard to be able to identify that, and then come back and say, but we're going to take a quarter section and we're going to take it out of production for 30 plus years, but don't worry, it's the only one we're going to take. When land in that area, farmers cannot buy enough farmland. It is counterintuitive despite the other pieces you say are coming off the other side, this is food producing land, right? I mean, at the very least, it's food producing land. So I too question the ability to farm anything in between those. I don't know what that will look like. It will have to be fenced, and I assume you'd have to have lighting on it for security.
No, we don't need lighting.
So you're going to put all that money out there in the middle of nowhere with no security lighting?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. There's going to
Have
be.
you heard of rural crowd?
There are some security systems, but obviously lighting a solar field in the night is just not something that is feasible for us. It's part of the O&M that we do expect some vandalism, and it's part of the operation cost.
And just going back to your photo, these are what's the word? Solar panels that will not be moving. Is that correct?
Correct. Fixed.
They are stationary.
Yep.
And they're not bifacial. You're not getting anything off the backside.
They are bifacial.
They are So how does that affect the sheep and the grass there and all of that kind of stuff?
So the bifacial solar modules, essentially, all it is it's just double-sided. So the big gain you get is in the shoulder months of the year when you get the winter and you get the snow reflection. So it really just reflects the light to the backside and gives it an extra boost. That's only about, I think, 7 to 8% boost it gives from monofacial to bifacial. So it is something that's come in the industry for the last 3 years.
But they are stationary.
Stationary, yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Smith.
All right, thank you for coming in today again. I think Leduc County, I remember a few years ago, one of the councillors is not here anymore. We had a chance to put some solar panels on one of the building and she proclaimed over her dead body. So I believe we have like 6 solar signs, speeding signs so far in Leduc County. So I do appreciate you coming in and trying to bring us into that world. It is a part, I'm pretty sure when we had gas and cars, the conversations you're probably hearing now about alternate energy. I don't know how many people would have went, oh, we can't have cars because there's not enough gas for everybody. And we can't do anything in the planet until we find ways of going through it. We do have to find alternative energy. So thanks for coming in. I do support it. Keep working on it. You'll have to find support from other people, but it probably is an opportunity for Leduc County to even come close to joining most of the municipalities in Alberta with alternate energy. Saying no to what's out there right now is not the way to go. And yeah, we're losing a little bit of farmland, but I just think co-op did a business out in this very same area and we lost that. It's an ag value add. So I'll be supporting it. You have your work to do, obviously, to get more support to put the project forward. But I believe these are the waves of the future. And if you just stick your head in the sand and go, there will be no gas for cars in the early 1900s. There'll be no way to getting natural gas to heat people's houses. I believe we're almost past that point in society where everybody always throws up why we can't do things. I'd like to look at the reasons why maybe we can do something. And the time has come for us to maybe join the conversation with the rest of Alberta. So you get your work cut out for you with the rest of them, but I support you.
Councillor Lewis.
Thank you. You talked about being able to produce enough energy for 5,000 residents in Alberta. Can you tell me how the process works to get these residents connected to your solar energy? Do they have to buy in?
No, they'll continue to consume energy from their existing retailer. It won't be, coin green energy on their utility bill or anything like that, but the energy that they will be consuming during the day, obviously, is going to be from this solar array. Yeah. So instead of importing energy in from elsewhere, likely Genesee, they'll be consuming energy that was produced off of that solar array as it's the nearest point.
Yeah, we will be tying the project into the same overhead conductors that are on the street that tie into the residences as well to the site. So how the electrical system works, it brings the tall transmission lines from Genesee and brings to the substation at Buford. And then from there it goes on the wooden poles and goes to all the farms and the residences. And those are the wires that we'll be tying into. So we'll be on the same network as all the residents and homes. So we'll be producing, basically injecting the energy right where it's being used. And that's why for us, it was a high impact. I know we haven't touched on it before, but also does curtail a large infrastructure on the utility end. So if we can produce energy where it's being consumed. It does slow down the other needs for more transmission lines to, favor when you have energy produced elsewhere, like let's say out of town and imported in on transmission lines. When you offset it directly, there are less large transmission lines that are needed to bring it from far away, like Genesee, the like.
Thank you. Councillor Vandenberg.
One of the things I didn't ask was, is any part of this being subsidized by provincial or federal tax dollars?
So currently, these projects are not being subsidized. They are open and competitive. So when we look at the cost of our energy produced, currently we can compete with coal and natural gas and actually play on the same playing field. It used to be that you need some grants to get it down lower, but the price has come down as well. The sale price of energy has kind of gone up. So we're kind of in a sweet spot now in Alberta where we can create this energy on the same playing field as natural gas and coal. And I do want to take a second to address your comment about recycling, because I don't want to let that slide by. So it is factored into our long range planning. The nice thing about it is the piling is steel and galvalume. So a lot of the racking system can be recycled for steel. Being that it's driven piles, it can be removed very easily. We're awaiting if it's going to be a screw pile or driven, but either way, they do zip out quite easily. And as for the modules, there is recycling programs that have come in our way. To your point, it is something that's not talked about very, very widely in the industry, and that's because Alberta is in its infancy state for utility scale solar developments coming in. So, they're in the market for 30 plus years. So the recycling market will usually come in around year 20, and because they'll have stuff to recycle. So they are starting to ramp up in North America, and we have sourced out and basically got agreements from them that when it does come time to recycle, they would take them free of charge and recycle them. So they would pay for the labor to actually take them off the racks and recycle them and reuse the existing glass and wafers. So it is something that we look at, and it is nice because it's a commodity base. So the commodity is where the money is for them. So they'll take it for free.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is the taxpayer is going to pay for the recycling. Nothing is for free.
No. Somebody pays.
Well, somebody's got to pay.
Well, they resell it eventually, and that's how they make their money back. So they'll redo the ingot and the wafer and rebake the cell and remanufacture it, and it'll go into another new solar module, and they can sell it for profit.
So just for council, I just received a text from Garrett Broadbent from Agriculture. This is 85 farm assessment rating, and it would be looking at 115 acres. So the fragmentation spoken of is just one corner of the property, just as additional information. We are past our half an hour. How long is the video that's here?
I wanted to show about 1.5 minutes.
Sure. And then we're going to have to move on with the rest of our agenda. Thank you.
Oh, we don't have audio. Does anybody know if that's an option to get audio? No? Okay. I will follow up with an email. Watch it on your own
Certainly,
time.
if you just send it to our legislative coordinator, she will make sure that we all receive the video and watch it at our leisure.
Certainly.
When did you believe your public engagement was going to begin? You said after this meeting. So after Christmas, after this meeting, or?
Possibly within this as early as next week.
Okay.
Again, we wanted to have this meeting prior to beginning that public consultation. We were prepared to begin it in July of this year, but wanted to get some face time with council prior to.
So thank you for that. And just know that it isn't news to anyone in the farming community around Kalmar. It's been talked about a great deal. And so those are going to be the conversations you'll be having. Look forward to the public engagement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, move for information. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Vandenberg.
For information.
All in favor? Mr. Coleman.
Madam Chair, with our in-camera items, we have legal counsel here to talk about our tax share, so we could maybe jump our order and have Janice.
We will certainly do that. Thank you to Jordan and Lori. We are going to move on to a different item, and I thought that's who was sitting back there, but with the mask, you never know. So I will ask for someone to move us in camera. Counselor Balazer, all in favor? That's unanimous, and I will wait for a signal that we are off our live stream. Oh, we have to wait till we're. I'm sorry, that was my calming breath out. Thanks.
So, Madam Chair, there's two items that we need to address from coming out of camera. One is to
Let's start with the first one.
So let's go through. Thank you for joining us back. We've come out of camera and have a couple of motions.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us. Again, we're out of camera. I have a couple of items after our discussions. We have a couple of motions to be made. One of them would be to accept the regional initiatives and activities update as information. Councillor Balazer? Thank you very much. All in favor? That's unanimous. We have a second one.
the tax sharing. Yeah. Right there.
Okay, we need to take that off. It's hard for me to read now that I knows where it is. We have a motion that governance and priority authorize administration to proceed with arbitration process related to the EIA tax share agreement with the city of Leduc. Proceedings. Arbitration proceedings. Councillor Vandenberg will make that motion and read it correctly. Yes, you do.
The governance.
I think it's easy.
The governance and priorities authorize administration to proceed with arbitration proceedings relative to the EIA tax share agreement with the city of Leduc.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vandenberg. Any questions on that?
No, we have Janice appointed already.
Okay, thank you. Good question. All in favor? That's unanimous. We need one more, my friends. Councillor Scobie will adjourn us. Thank you very much for joining us today. I wasn't talking to you guys.
It's an internal.
It must be.